betrayed WCW!
What in the hell is he doing here? Monday Night Raw! Monday Nitro! He is broken out!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass!
Brett Screw Brett.
The new world order, brother! Let's get this! We are at war!
So anyway, let's get going on the show here.
Okay. Wow, these shows. WCW Monday Nitro number 194, June 7th, 1999. Everything we are about to say is true, and actually aired on a nationally broadcast cable television show, primetime.
That's a good disclaimer, actually.
Yeah, I'm not bullshitting you. This happened.
I found the show to be kind of boring, but it wasn't like a horrible show. It was just like a really weird, kind of boring
hour was
show.
really boring.
It's begging for a finish.
You know,
Yeah.
So
It's better than Raw.
Raw
I
was-
will actually say that this was a better show than Raw.
Well, let's get into these. A long white limousine arrived at the building. Randy Savage and his women stepped out, and they ordered the chauffeur to take a bucket out of the trunk and remove the lid. And then, multi-time world champion, Hall of Fame wrestler Macho Man Randy Savage picked up a bucket of poop and carried it into the building.
Factual.
He's wearing a pink feathered boa. He thinks he's Jesse Ventura now.
It's more of a
guess,
jacket.
Because he just kind of won the... I think it was 99 that he won the
It must
governorship.
be because he's at SummerSlam that year.
Yeah, so there you go.
Hack versus Prince Iaukea.
I should note, by the way, that Randy Savage has this bucket of sewage, and he's walking through the backstage area, and he's yelling at everybody and trying to have them get out of his way.
I would.
Like they needed to be told to get out of his way. So there's a group of guys standing around, and Randy Savage walks by this group of guys, and he shoves some geek in the back. Just some random geek backstage. This man no-sold the Macho Man Randy Savage. He didn't go stumbling forward. He didn't turn around. He just kept talking to his buddies. I howled. That was one of the first highlights of the show here. And then a lowlight.
Hack versus Prince Iaukea.
Yeah.
Hack comes out smoking a cigarette, and everyone working for the company is horrified.
Yeah.
Did he not smoke before?
Not on Nitro, I don't think.
But Big Show did.
Well, the bigger issue, Craig,
True,
is that
yeah.
it's okay to smoke. You just can't smoke during a match.
Shivani and Bishop
That's
are on
literally what
commentary.
they said.
Yeah, it's against corporate policy. This is banned, and everyone knows it. And all I can think is he's standing up to authority. They're trying to make Hack Steve Austin.
Sure.
Then I figured, well, Steve
But
Austin,
you're wrong.
Steve Austin stole the beer drinking gimmick from Sandman, so why not?
Yeah.
But, Vinny, you're wrong. Hack was supposed to be a heel, even though he would not blow out his cigarette.
So-
And Eric Bischoff is supposed to be a babyface.
Right.
I'll take your word for it. I was confused because I know they've been trying to have Bischoff be a babyface lately, but he came off as the overbearing dickhead boss.
Yes.
And Hack came off.
Absolutely.
And Hack came off as the guy who defies authority.
Yes.
Therefore, he's a babyface.
Yes.
Well, the fucked up psychology is Hack is supposed to be a heel, and Bischoff is supposed to be a babyface, and so we're supposed to cheer for Bischoff. But instead, it was just like, look at Eric Bischoff pretending to be a fucking tough guy.
yes.
Slapping around Hack.
Think about that. The good guy is Eric Bischoff.
So J.J. Dillon comes out and says, Hack, you've gotten away with a lot of stuff, but this is where we draw the line. So, for the record, you can hit a guy with a stick. You can hit a guy with a chair. You can hit a guy with a table, a trash can, that big giant surge bottle, whatever.
Sewage.
Sewage.
Sure.
But when you smoke a cigarette and smoke it yourself, that's too far. Bischoff hits the ring, tells Hack to put a cigarette out. The fans were chanting asshole. I am not convinced they were chanting it at either one, actually. Maybe both. Assholes. So, Hack blows smoke in Eric's face. Security hits the ring. Eric waves them off, but then slaps Hack in the face. Are you certain he's a good guy?
Yeah.
He slaps Hack in the face, and then security tackles Hack. Bischoff takes a cigarette away and orders the match to start.
Yes. You have to imagine that in their universe, Eric Bischoff is Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Nah,
and Hack is Vince McMahon.
closer, actually.
Yeah. That's why they went out of business, because they didn't know what they were doing.
So they're doing this match. It's as bad as you would think. My favorite part, and apparently it was a planned spot because they repeated it.
Oh, hold on, before you go any further.
Okay.
So after all that bullshit that we talked about with Eric Bischoff goes back to the booth, and you know what he says?
I forget, but
I have no authority. I just don't like smokers.
He did say that.
He had no authority to throw his weight around. But he just went up there and he slapped the talent, eviscerated them, emasculated them, made them look like a fucking idiot, and goes back to the announcer's booth just so they would get us to cheer Eric Bischoff.
so the spot I was referring to, Iakia goes for an angle slam, and Hack, forget dead weighting, Hack drops to his ass. There's nothing else he could have done to fight this suplex more. So they start doing some stuff, and still soon there's chastity in the ring and a fire extinguisher and a table, but no smoking. That's important.
A table that was putting up a heck of a fight.
This table, bulletproof. They should have made the limo out of whatever this table was made of in hindsight. Mm-hmm. They tried several times to break it. It didn't break, and finally Iakia just bounced off it, lay there, and apparently said, "Pin me." And Hack pinned him. Pinned him after whipping him into a table.
Bischoff just burying Hack. Keep in mind, Hack's going to win. He's going, guy's got no wind.
He's out of shape.
And I'm like, what the fuck's going on here?
He's a smoker. He doesn't
You
have
idiot.
And fat. So Brian Knobbs and Hugh Morris attack Hack, and who should run in and join the save but Billy Kidman?
Yeah, Kidman made the save.
Are Kidman and Hack a team now? What is going on?
Yeah, just another baby face. Because Hack, Vinny, wait a second. I don't know why the fuck he came in. Now I'm baffled.
Bischoff is reeling about the drunk guys at ringside spilling beer on him. This is all very, very bad.
Also, little Billy Kidman taking on Knobbs
And Hugh Morris. Yeah.
Just a note.
Fighting out of his weight division. He had a recap of the Sting, Steiners, and Tank Abbott stuff. And then a recap of Savage and his women beating up the Nash impersonator last week, and then Nash spraying sewage in Savage's limo. Bischoff lets us know, folks, the competition on the other show, the guy under the hood has the initials VM.
Yeah.
Then he says they just keep recycling the same crap over and over.
You know what's funny about it?
He's right.
He was right, but he didn't know he was right. He guessed.
Oh, really?
And so he was so happy when it turned out that he was right.
I didn't know that.
Yep, he did not know.
Damn it, now I'm really sad he was right.
It would have fucking mattered.
It would have made me laugh. He also joked about a big lawsuit Vince was facing at the time, and as soon as he said that,
It was Sable.
Yeah.
oh, really?
This was the week that she filed her, I forget what it was, like $100 million, something crazy.
That's what he said. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was fast. She was working for him weeks ago.
Well, yeah.
Regardless, as soon as he mentioned this, Heenan and Shivani, shut up.
Well, yeah.
let's stay away from that one. Speaking of things to stay away from, Lenny, Lane, and Scotty Riggs.
Remember, like I've always said that all these fans want to see is wrestling.
Right.
God damn, were they determined to just prove me wrong. It's not even like they had that bad a match. Like, Lenny Lane sucks. Scotty Riggs was all right. He's actually pretty good. He's got his vision back. Now all of a sudden he's Rick the Model Martel.
Eyeball returned, yes.
Yeah. And they have a fucking 10-minute match. I look at Craig. Was it 10 minutes?
It was close.
Fuck, I was right for once. They're out there for 10 fucking minutes. When's the last time Scotty Riggs was on this show?
Months.
When's the last
6
time Lenny
months,
Lane
probably.
was on this show?
I don't know.
Yeah, months.
They throw these two fucking guys out here. Nobody gives a shit about them. Then they send out Lenny Lane. When's the last time Lenny Lane's been on this show?
Lodi.
Oh, yeah.
When's the last time he's been on the show?
The Flock at some
Nobody
point.
fucking knows.
Yeah.
This was just... Oh, my God. Riggs is Rick the Model Martel now. Riggs the Model Martel.
On that note, he's coming out with his mirror. And Eric Bischoff says, well, this is something Paul Orndorff used to do. Come on, Scotty, be original. Which would be fine, because obviously it's a geek gimmick, but hasn't Eric Bischoff been on this show for weeks telling us he personally is going to turn this show around and save it?
Right.
Yeah, now he's burying the show.
And he's burying the new gimmicks?
Fucking
If you're in
terrible.
charge, Eric, change it. If you hate this gimmick so much, give him a goddamn new one. Give him his eye patch back for all I care. Had a long, boring match. Lenny Lane's bleeding from the eye, maybe because he was wrestling with a pierced eyebrow. Don't do that, guys. Second match in the show, fans are chanting boring. Riggs wins with a fame asser. I really bad wanted to start drinking at this point.
You know, I used to have earrings, and I had like one in each ear. It did not matter. Every single match, I got them both torn out. Okay? Meanwhile, Tim Flowers had earrings all around his ear.
Yes.
Never came out.
No.
It's like,
Well, he was on
I'm doing
offense.
fucking something wrong.
Yeah, you were wrestling Tim Flowers. He beat you up for 20 minutes.
It wasn't with him. It was
I
just,
see.
You know, he didn't let anyone near his head. He
That's-
was a lot smarter than I gave him credit for at the time.
Indeed. Ric Flair had a meeting with Chris Benoit, tried to regain his confidence after they had
Where
a
the hell's Molenko? Did he just walk out after last week?
I don't even care at this point.
He's gone for reprogramming.
His batteries ran out.
God, he doesn't age well.
Malenko?
Yeah.
No, his character there was none. So anyway, Flair wants Benoit on his side, and Benoit says, "I'm only here because I used to respect you." Without, what do you say? Without hesitation.
Unconditional, but now it's
Unconditional.
very much conditional.
Now it's very much conditional, he says. And Flair says, "Look, all we did last week was prove that we're both great wrestlers. We should just fight alongside each other instead of against each other." He talked about the feud he had with Arn. They had to wrestle each other in Carolina, of course, but eventually they put everything back together. He begged Benoit to trust him. Benoit said he would consider it. At this point, Saturn barges in. Says, "Kanyon will be there soon with a doctor's clearance. We want a tag title rematch tonight." Flair says, "I'm sorry I can't do that. It's me and Benoit for the tag titles instead." This is news to Benoit. Saturn says, "I'll get a title match someday," and he leaves. So Benoit recalls that Page and Bigelow had laid him out last week. He wants revenge on them. He wants the tag titles. He agrees to team with Ric Flair. Savage and his women come down to the ring with a bucket of poop. Savage says he has checked every crevice and every cleavage in the building looking for Nash. Which, frankly, if you're looking for Nash, is probably a good place to start. The man in the pink feather boa said he cannot afford to look ridiculous.
It was a coat.
He runs his mouth for a while about how Nash is on his level. He claimed he had saved the bucket of poop from the limousine last week and carried it around for 7 days. Dared anyone to come down to the ring. Sting came out on stage. Sting was in a mood this week. He's just on fire. He challenges Savage tonight. Savage accepted him, threatened to dump the bucket of poop on him. Savage declares Macho Madness is on Viagra and leaves.
Okay, so listen. When they did this fucking segment, it absolutely sucked. Okay, but there's a lot of segments that suck. When they did this whole goddamn segment where Savage comes out and he challenges Kevin Nash and Nash doesn't come out, and so he rants for another 6 minutes or whatever, and then they go to a commercial and they come back and out comes fucking Kevin Nash.
Yes.
Kevin Nash then calls out Savage.
Yes.
And fucking Savage comes out and we just started over. I was like, fuck you. This show fucking sucks.
It did.
And they went on and on. And Nash is like, I'll get in the ring, but you got to put down the bucket. I'm like,
Did you mention
is this
that-
a fucking playground?
Yes.
And Nash had a bag.
No, I didn't mention he brought in a stupid bag.
Matt Nash had a stupid bag with him, which he
He
laid
brings
on
a
chair in the
stupid
ring.
fucking bag with him.
He had a great line, though. Nash said to Savage, "I only brought one bag. You brought 3." I laughed.
I'm glad you loved it.
I like that before Savage came out, Nash is in the ring talking, and there's one guy who must have been right behind the announcers, because all he's doing is shouting and drowning out Nash saying, "You're nothing without Shawn Michaels! HBK!
Well, he's
HBK!"
not fucking wrong.
Well, I know, but
So finally, this fucking bag, some contortionist come out of it. She gets the bucket. She pours it on Savage. Eric Bischoff, I want to publicly apologize to Michael Cole. Every one of the fucking WWE announcers has been forced to laugh at stupid jokes over the years. Eric Bischoff howls with fake laughter for hours. If this sucked before, he made it suck even worse.
He did.
Which is virtually impossible. Worst feud I've ever seen. They spent an hour cleaning up the ring afterwards.
yeah.
I fucking hate this show.
Before the contortionist came out, I just want to add that Nash, he had some demands. He wanted the women to hold the ropes open for him.
He just had to keep making shit up because she couldn't get out of the bag.
Yes. It was Savage, actually, who said he said Kevin Nash is a stupid person and should admit he is a monkey. Again, I'm not making that up. Randy Savage said that. So Savage called Nash a coward. He's right. He's completely right. Kevin Nash is a coward, and as we'll learn later, a fool. So, yeah. And then this whole thing went forever. They went to break. They came back. It went forever again. And then they stayed there as these guys cleaned up the ring instead of going to a commercial.
Yeah.
Like, this
Well, they wanted to make sure that you saw them cleaning up the ring so you knew that something was in the ring.
And you could see
Because it was such a valuable, important angle.
all the janitors, you could see their faces as they smelled something quite horrible.
Fuck.
Would this have been better if
No.
Okay.
It would have been better if it was not on television.
Would it have been better if we would have known the person that was in the bag?
No!
No? If it
Nothing
was
would
like
have made this better.
Okay.
Nothing!
So if the contortionist's name is Susan, you're going to like it more now?
No. I mean,
Jesus could have come out of that bag. This would have sucked. Just to use a religious reference, Craig, I apologize. I'm trying to think of somebody we all knew.
well, some of us.
That would have been newsworthy.
Okay. So Ric Flair and Chris Benoit versus Dallas Page and Bam Bam.
But if it was
Bigelow.
Deborah? If it was China in the bag?
I'm just saying the girl was she was nobody. She was just somebody they hired from the circus to get in a bag.
So had it been, I don't know, Juventud Guerrera,
Sure.
you would have been fine with this.
I didn't say that. I said would it have been better?
It would have been dumber.
Okay.
The fuck's Hoovy doing in a bag? I mean, he'd fit.
I'm sure he's been in the bag many times.
God, this was horrible. It's unredeemable.
So these guys are wrestling in this now brown-stained canvas, not getting sick, just completely ignoring it. And I don't blame them. They're just doing some stuff. Bischoff, who again said he's going to save the show. Fans like Chris Benoit, because he's here to wrestle. He's not off making movies in Hollywood. Speaking of Hollywood, Hulk Hogan has a new movie coming out. I swear to God, in one breath. So they get the heat on Benoit. Goes on for a while, and he fights for a hot tag, and then Flair starts to leave him high and dry. And Flair backs down off the apron. He walks up the ramp. Everyone boos. Arn is bewildered. He tears his shirt off and jumps in the apron. But before we can find out whether his intentions were true, Saturn runs out instead. He jumps in the apron. Benoit tags Saturn. Saturn runs wild, and he looked awesome. God, when Saturn's good days were so good.
Except he almost killed DDP with an overhead belly to belly, dropping him in his head.
That did happen.
That's more DDP's fault.
He shouldn't have been so tall.
Right.
So, speaking of killing him, he just hit Page with a DVD and pinned him. Just a hot tag, a comeback, and a finish. That was it.
So fucking ironic that 19 years ago this week, they do this finish, and on Raw the night before, Bayley played the role of Saturn, and it was ruled that, in fact, their team did not win. Because you cannot run down and replace somebody. That's not allowed. WCW, they're the new WCW Tag Team Champions. And then, first off, I'd like to add that on commentary, Eric Bischoff had a gem. He goes, man, Flair, he's dropped a lot of weight, but his upper body is bigger.
So just in the
So he
calves.
stopped doing legs. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so.
It's supposed to be like a positive here. So anyway, last week they did the storyline with Canyon, and I was piecing it all together, and I was like, God damn, this is actually a really good storyline. I like where they're going here. Fucking next week, Canyon just comes out and he joins DDP and Bigelow. They could not have fucked it up more.
He runs out, he hugs Saturn, but then drops him with the flatliner, and the beating continues. If you're there watching this match, and you're about ready to align yourself with Dallas Page and Bam Bam Bigelow anyway, maybe you run out 2 minutes earlier so they don't lose the tag titles first.
No. They had to surprise us
So there's new
by
champions.
killing this angle dead. Bullshit.
There's new champions, and the Jersey Triad are now a thing, although no one named them that yet. Oh, then this beatdown, by the way, you talk about the suplex. Their double team diamond cutters they were doing, I'm stunned there was not a fatality.
Gosh, that looks scary.
And speaking of stunned there's not a fatality, this I remembered. There's a lot of things in these Monday Night Wars, especially these two shows. A lot happened here. I will never forget the Falls Count Anywhere Mexican hardcore tag team match as long as I live.
Hey, this match, the actual match itself, was better than 99% of the hardcore matches we saw on Raw and Nitro during this era.
Yes.
Wasn't just a bunch of fuckers hitting each other with stuff.
Although there was that.
There was that. But, like, they did lucha with weapons.
Right.
Fucking great. Unless you were one of the goddamn announcers
Yeah.
who buried them
The whole time.
and mocked them and belittled them as they're outworking every other hardcore wrestler on this and the other show's roster. Why can't you go, look at what an awesome product we're delivering right here. These guys are fucking blowing out snow out of the water.
Not hard.
Talk about
Instead,
it later.
they make fun of them. Ha 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 ha. Oh, they're falling down.
They were so
That guy got hit in the head. Ha
they were so concerned. Okay, this is a Mexican hardcore Falls Count Anywhere match. Mexican?
Yeah, Mexican.
And they laughed and laughed and laughed about that.
Yeah. Fuck them.
Dumb.
This match was great.
So among the high spots, we had a bunch of dives, of course, one of which to a guy sitting on a chair on the floor. Tornado DDT through a table on the floor. La Parka powerbombs Damien off the top rope through a table for 2. And then, I will say this, Bobby Heenan asked one good question. Why wouldn't you just stay down?
Well, before we get to the finish, because the finish was a negative, they had all of these crazy spots, including a spot where Silver King does Cyclope/Halloween, has a garbage can on his head. You ever had a garbage can on your head?
Never.
Okay, you can't see a goddamn thing. There's a fucking can on your head. He has to stand there with a can on his head and wait for, I believe it was Silver King, to do an acai moonsault. Yeah, Silver King does an acai moonsault, and he's going to land on the can, on the guy's head, who can't see him coming.
Right.
This was the craziest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life. What were they thinking here?
They were nuts.
So they do all these crazy spots, and then, like, the crowd is kind of into the high spots, but they're not that into the match. And finally, they go up top, and La Parka hits Damien with a top rope powerbomb, and he puts him through a table. And the fucking place goes crazy. Dude kicks out. Bobby Heenan's exact words were, "Take it home."
Yep.
That's what he said.
He did say that.
He goes, "Why do you kick out? Take it home." And he was fucking right.
Yeah.
Because what did they do after that? Parka goes, he puts 2 chairs out, and he power bombs the guy through 2 chairs and pins him. Now, in real life, that hurt a lot more than going off that middle rope through a table. But you know what? To the fans at home, a fucking guy landed on a goddamn chair. It was so much more cool to see the guy go through the big table off the middle rope. Why can't you just go home?
Call an audible.
Is it that hard?
Regardless, Parka powerbombed Damien onto 2 chairs. Not so much through, because they did not bend or
They
separate.
didn't move.
Nah, he just went through them.
No, he went onto them,
Yeah, and that was it.
and then he pinned him. This was very violent.
Very violent, flat finish.
A lot of
Know when to go home,
a
everybody.
lot of swinging weapons into the head and also throwing weapons into the head. The NWO team is backstage. Norton asks where the rest of them had been when the cat hit him with a tire iron. Why do they grab their bags and leave, he says.
Yeah, here's the key. He watched it on television.
He's the one guy.
Right.
He saw that they left after he got hit with that tire iron. These 4 fucking idiots try to claim that they didn't leave. And he keeps telling them, "I watched it!"
Eventually they tried to sell it as like confusion. Well, we thought you were going to Minnesota. We were going somewhere else.
Did you? I don't. This bothered me. One of them, Vincent, said, "We got a cab," and somebody else said, "We got a ride."
Yes.
And this went back and forth. We got a cab. No, we got a ride.
What do
They
you
were-
think
they
the
were
NWOB
lying.
team argues about?
They were lying. And they couldn't get their story straight because they're morons.
Do you think their actual conversations would be any more entertaining
It
than
would
that?
have been better if Vincent said, "We got a cab." The other one said, "We got a ride." And then they went back to Vincent. I mean, we got a ride. And the other one said, "We got a cab." And went back and forth. But no, it went nowhere and it was dumb.
And if Hoovy would have been in a bag,
That's right.
this would have been an even better show.
You're getting to the point where you just refuse to argue.
Yeah.
This is beneath me. Anyway.
Nothing is beneath you, Vinny, when we're reviewing this fucking show.
That's actually a fair point.
You reviewing this show is beneath you more than any argument we've ever had.
So the upshot here is Stevie Ray says they only left because they thought Norton had it handled. And I guess, I don't know if Norton believed him or not, honestly, but the cat came out. He brags about knocking Orton out with 1 kick. So it's the NWO team. It's a bunch of geeks who all do evil things. And Cat comes out. He's feuding with them, but he's also insulting the fans. I can't keep track anymore. Let's see. Horace hits the ring. They have a match. Horace beats him up.
Horace versus Shat on television.
Yeah.
Fucking terrible.
That was in the earlier segment. I thought.
Sucked.
Sonny
Crowbar
takes the ref. Cat hits him with a crowbar. A ref counts 3. There's a crowbar in the ring.
in the ring.
Yeah.
The ref is counting next to a fucking crowbar, and he just counts 3. Like,
Actually, there was 2 crowbars he was counting.
Maybe 3.
Some fucking fan threw a crowbar into the ring, I guess. I better count the pin.
B team runs out. Cat and Sonny flee for their lives. Hey, Ernest Miller can run.
Hey,
That dude's got wheels.
I'll give this thing one positive here. Shad did his dance afterwards, and it was good. It's the only good part of this act.
As Horace is coming to, Stevie Ray promises, "Don't you worry, we'll take care of that fruit booty." Horace says, "Are we in Tampa?"
It's begun.
Stevie says, "No, we're in Pittsburgh." And somebody else says, "It's Cleveland." And Stevie says, "Don't matter." Mean Gene brings Roddy Piper out for a promo. Piper promised to make Ric Flair bleed to death at the pay-per-view.
Cool. Don't think that happened.
Then he starts burying Y2K kids who complain about Piper and Flair being in the main events. He's insulting millennials before millennials were a thing.
Yeah.
He calls out Buffy Bagwell.
Who they called, and I quote, one of the young great athletes in World Championship Wrestling.
How long have you been in the business?
Well, as it turns out, 8 years. Because Piper asked him, and he said 8 years. Piper asked, "Have you wrestled in Madison Square Garden?" Let me ask this slowly. "Have you wrestled in Madison Square Garden?" And Buff replies, "I wasn't born yet."
It's been around for a while.
Confusion reigns. No one understands. And then Piper repeats the question, and Bagwell says, "Never."
This was dumb because WCW wasn't allowed to wrestle in Madison Square Garden. Right?
That's what's dumb about it.
That's also dumb about it.
So Piper says, "Look,
How about the idea that Roddy Piper is supposed to be a babyface, right? Am I wrong?
I gave up.
so.
I long ago gave
I mean,
up.
Flair's got to be a heel. So Piper's a babyface, but Bagwell's supposed to be a babyface, and Piper's out there burying him for never having wrestled in fucking Madison Square Garden, where WCW would never run a show in their lives.
Thank you.
So Piper says, "Look, you broke your neck. You fought your way back like a great athlete, and then you made a joke out of it." Brian, you're not going to find an
What do
answer.
you want?
You made a joke out of it, Piper says. "You scammed everyone. You'd do anything to get to the top." And Bagwell said, "That's right." So Piper says, "Okay, after I beat Flair at the Bash, I'm going to give you the ball." The ball, he says.
The fuck does that mean?
That's a great question in what is supposed to be a real sport.
Well, in a real sport, you would give him the fucking ball.
Not if the real sport was wrestling.
This is pro wrestling.
So he warns Buff, if you fumble the ball, it'll be right down your neck. But Buff agrees. They shake hands, and that's that. So here's my hope on how this goes down. I hope that at the pay-per-view, Buff helps Piper win, and to reward him, Piper gives Buff a literal ball. A bowling ball, a volleyball,
I
anything.
picture being that Roddy gives him a kilt and bagpipes and tries to turn him into the next Roddy Piper.
Marcus Alexander Bagpipes.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was a good one.
Yeah, Craig.
Was it?
It was
Yeah.
a great idea.
Was it really?
I thought so. Then this fucking story.
Are you ready? Remember last week when I said, when X-Pac did the Bronco Buster into the chair and killed himself, and I said, "Wow, that's the dumbest wrestler I've ever seen. They sure made
Sure.
him look like an idiot."
Right.
It took 6-7 days to top this. Kevin Nash, in his jorts and flip-flops, is walking by a limo. When the door opens, it's Medusa, Miss Madness, and Gorgeous George. And they say, "Hey, Randy Savage isn't here. We've got champagne. Come party with us."
It's girls' night out, they say.
Girls' night out.
Hey, Randy is not here.
And Nash is skeptical. He orders them to get out so he can inspect the car and make sure Savage isn't there.
Excuse me, he said, "Can you get out so I can check the limo?"
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, like,
Check the limo.
did he check it?
Well, kind
He
of.
kind of looked around. He said, "Pop the trunk." And the trunk pops up. And there's no Savage in there, so he throws his bag in.
So you're telling me that when he decided to check out to see if Randy Savage was in the limo, instead of looking in the limo, he looked in the trunk.
Well, he looked at the back of the limo.
Okay.
There's the
So he
divider.
didn't like look in the front where you drive.
It was a poor inspection.
It was a privacy screen.
And he would
couldn't see
pay
in
the
front.
price. He cannot believe a man would have the time to have the a star would have the temerity to not have his own driver.
Sure. But he might get in the fucking trunk.
Possible.
Well, the same man, Brian, as these three women, Medusa called herself Sedusa, and they asked if he could handle all three of them. A week ago, Kevin Nash sprayed these women with sewage.
Yeah.
Now he thinks they're going to give him a four-way.
Yeah.
And so he gets into the car expecting a jolly old time.
Yes, Vinny.
See how stupid we are as men?
I see how stupid he is. So he gets in the car. They slam the door. The privacy screen drops. Macho Man Randy Savage is driving. He says something about being a smartass. He zips the limo into position, parks it, goes running off, and then...
Carmen Electra fucking shows up.
I wish.
Loved her.
That's who was going to be the driver of the white limo.
Loved her.
The White Hummer
The white Hummer.
makes its debut, smashing into the limousine over and over again. And then it drives away. And I guess just to prove he was not actually literally dead, Nash punches out the window and feebly tries to get the car door open before passing out.
Yes. Carmen Electra was going to be revealed as the driver of the white Hummer.
What was their
Why?
connection?
This was a mystery for years.
Yeah.
Well, because Randy Savage is in the middle of a massive, unprecedented midlife crisis.
I see.
As he mentioned earlier, I have enough money to last me my entire life, and I have more women than anyone could use in an entire life.
Randy Savage's entire career was a midlife crisis.
And so he's going to add a fourth woman to his entourage, Carmen Electra.
Wow.
okay.
But it never worked out, and we never officially found out. Actually, we did find out.
Like 3 years later.
Yeah, they changed the story years later, and it was like, I can't remember who it was.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
But yes, who drove the White Hummer is a running joke on really almost until the company goes out of business.
Yes.
The only time it was ever funny was one guy once held up a sign saying, I drove the White Hummer, and his buddy next to him had a sign saying, no, I drove the White Hummer. So, anyway, Kevin Nash is the world's biggest dipshit, and he deserves to be crushed in a limousine by a White Hummer. Bobby Duncombe Jr. versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
This wasn't bad. Ray's pretty good.
Kurt Hennig comes out to do commentary. I guess Nash had a crash. That was funny. We need more heels to tell terrible jokes.
That's
and laugh,
right.
And laugh at their own jokes.
Okay, so about a year later, they revealed that the driver of the white Hummer. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Anybody like to take? You each get one guess.
I will say J.J. Dillon.
Dean Malenko. I don't know.
Kidman.
What? What's he have to do with anything?
It's a great question.
Exactly.
Oh, that's right, because he was shooting with Hogan,
Yes.
and somebody smashed Hogan with the White Hummer,
Yes.
and the door opened and Kidman popped out. And so
Yes.
he revealed, yes, I've been smashing people with White Hummers randomly for years.
Yeah.
Did you know this company's dead?
So what happened
It's
was
true.
Kidman showed up at the building. He made the save for Hack at the beginning of the show.
He went out and bought a car.
And then he got in a white Hummer
And tried to
kill the Macho Man, Kevin Nash.
Yeah.
What's the compression ratio on that bumper?
Should mention, by the way, that Kevin Nash was in the main event of the pay-per-view 6 days later, and they never revealed to us whether or not he was dead. In case you were interested in buying the show.
So on Thursday, they said nothing about Nash.
Nothing.
Wow.
So, Hennig's on commentary at ringside. Conan's doing commentary up by DJ Rand. They're going back and forth. And Conan and Ray had come out wearing gas masks just to look cool.
Is that what it did?
Well, that's the idea. And Hennig says, I guess you guys are wearing gas masks because you stink. And Conan says something like, I know you are, but what am I? He says, you stink too. To which Kurt replies, no, I don't. I'm the best. I like Kurt in this match. He's talking about the Rough Rider, where Ray throws his crotch in your face. Moves like that have no place in wrestling. And then Ray hit it, and Kurt was angry, hits the ring for the DQ.
Stupid.
Wrestling was... Brian is right. The wrestling was fun until that dumb finish. And then Conan chases the Cowboys away. Had a commercial for WCW.com.
Oh, man, I howled.
It's got links! Have you played Nash getting crashed? Here's where I just went off on how horny and stupid he must have been to fall for this. Also,
Yeah.
did nobody think about this storyline but beyond just saying, hey, we've got poop and car wrecks, it'll be cool? Is that what?
I know it's $50,000 to destroy that limo.
Jeez.
Steiner's came out for a promo. Scott Steiner said, and I quote, "All my hooches have a space to fill, and they all tell me I'm the big thrill. So believe me, when I'm between the sheets, and I'm," again, quote, "pushing their pink,
I was not paying attention.
there isn't a freak that'd ever think I was just an ordinary man. They'll know I'm Superman." That made TV.
You know what's funny is you recapping it and stumbling all over yourself was extremely accurate.
He makes it. It's a Scott Steiner promo.
Yeah.
He's also a mushmouth.
If there was
By the
one-
way, I did some math. I just want to mention this very quickly. That, and it's math, and it's me, so it's not entirely accurate.
Which is also Scott Steiner, by the way.
By my calculations here, WCW would have needed to sell 4,166 pay-per-views solely to pay for the limo they destroyed to get you to want to see Kevin Nash defend his title against the Macho Man Randy Savage. Not a fucking chance.
Rick runs his mouth, says they're the best team of all time. He finds Sting in the dog pound, he'll take him out.
There was a gigantic steroid sign right there in the background.
Yeah.
Nobody confiscated it. I said this last week. I've said it for many weeks. It's true. Rick Steiner, very, very underrated promo here. He was not a great promo, but he came off as like a legit, scary fucking badass. Steiner came off as a guy who was playing a crazy guy.
Yeah.
Scott. Rick came off as he's going to kill you.
And not think twice about it.
He's unstable.
Scott might kill you, but he'd rather just talk about his biceps and bang women.
Sure.
Rick Steiner would just kill you.
And
not think twice.
pink.
And pushing pink. We had a recap of a contortionist coming out of a bag and pouring a bucket of poop on Randy Savage. Disco Inferno came out for a promo. Says, "Bagwell, you already dropped the ball. You should have told Piper he stunk." He challenged Buff to come prove he was the man. I was certain that on this impromptu challenge, Buff would come out in his gear all oiled up and ready to go. But they actually had him in street clothes for this impromptu match.
Yeah. Save the show.
No.
It's like Hoovy being in a bag. Because he was in his goddamn street clothes, that made this whole thing better.
So, Disco had made fun of Buff for getting kicked out of the Wolfpack, to which Buff's reply was, "Yeah, I was, but you were never even in it."
Wasn't he?
He thought he was.
I could have sworn that eventually, like, he was. They played the music and everything.
No, but that's a
Why
poor
is he
comeback.
not now? What happened? What did we miss?
It just dissolved. It just stopped being a thing.
Yeah, this show sucks.
So, it had a very basic match. Nobody cared about it. Went through a break. Got into Buff's comeback a bit. He won with a blockbuster, but if we're being honest, this is a match for a guy who they said earlier was going to get the ball. He did not look like a guy who deserved to get the ball here.
No.
Randy Savage versus Sting. The bell rings. Gorgeous George jumps right on Sting's back. Ref doesn't care. The other women interfering on the floor. Crowds demanding puppies.
I don't know if Shivani realized what he said, but he goes, "Randy Savage, after tonight, clearly in the driver's seat Sunday."
That's punny.
That was a good one. I liked it.
So we got powder in Sting's eyes. Miss Madness goes for a top rope Rana. Sting shoves her down. Savage pile drives the ref. Another ref calls for the bell. Everyone boos. So Sting goes for a Stinger Splash on Savage, but Savage pulls Medusa in the way. So she takes the bullet. So now Sting turns around, and Savage is in the corner, and George is basically telling him to stop, but Sting charges like a lunatic anyway, and Savage pushes George out of the way.
Yeah.
So now you have a pecking order in his a harem. He prefers George to Medusa.
Well, goddamn, I could have told you that.
Yeah. So
He gave her Lanny Poffo's name.
He was Gorgeous George at one point?
Well, the Savage bought the rights to the Gorgeous George gimmick, and it was going to be for Lanny.
I see.
Then he found a super hot blonde,
yeah.
and he was like, fuck. Just sit home and get paid, Lanny.
Yeah.
I'm sure Lanny was like, okay.
So Steiner's run out and attacks Sting. Lex Luger runs out to make a save with a baseball bat. This is the final segment on the go-home show for the Great American Bash, and the announcers are still questioning whether the World Heavyweight Champion will be able to make it to the show.
Yeah.
Okay,
Shall I hit your music, Vinny?
may as well. We're here.
All right, well, here we go.
The finishes on this show were pin in a hardcore match, clean pin by a guy who was not supposed to be in the match, Pin in a Falls Count Anywhere Mexican hardcore match. Pin after a crowbar shot. DQ due to run-in. Clean pin. And DQ due to referee attack.
Better than Raw.
Or Nitro, I suppose. WCW Monday Nitro number 195, June 14th, 1999.
You know, one of the things that Nitro had going for it is we didn't watch the pay-per-view the night before.
That probably would have made it worse.
All-time horrible, well, one of many all-time horrible shows. For
It was their
Nitro.
all-time horrible pay-per-view of the month.
Just fucking terrible. Bunch of shit happened.
The Great American Bash. All I wrote down here was that it was the debut of Master P.
Master P and the No Limit Soldiers
Yeah.
are now part of WCW. And Sid is back.
Sid is back, yes. So Team Savage arrived in a Jeep, and out popped Savage in his usual feather boa, black leather gear, and his women in their usual outfits, and Sid in his rugby shirt tucked into blue jeans.
Yeah, he's cool.
He was shop teacher Sid. Let's see. Pics of Conan and Rey Mysterio versus Kurt Hennig and Bobby Duncombe.
Hey, at least they're trying to tell us right off the bat what happened at the show. Mm-hmm. Didn't do a goddamn bit of good.
I suppose I don't know who won this match.
I still have no idea what's going on.
I'm aware Barry Windham interfered. I'm aware Swole interfered.
Yeah, Swole is there.
I don't know who actually won the match.
Yeah, $400,000 Swole was paid.
Swole. Tony's confused.
And I think he had about 3 matches and retired in August.
Tony, if you saw the man,
Great man.
if you saw the man, you would say, "Wow, that guy is swole."
He's very swole.
Actually, he's a little bit fatter Big E. Like
Yeah.
Big E is bigger
Okay.
and more jacked than Swole was.
Probably, yeah.
Swole was just a big heavy guy. He was a muscular guy.
Oh, he
but
was.
It wasn't like, it wasn't that swole. He was a little swollen.
I think he had above average swelling.
Well, yeah, I guess.
Okay.
Yes,
I guess you could say it that way.
sure.
In our opening match, which I am not making up.
Here we go.
And I don't want to hear you defend Raw after this. Brian Adams and Vincent versus Kurt Hennig. And what the hell is Barry Windham wearing?
Okay.
Holy shit.
Let's start at the beginning here, you fucker. This was better than anything on Raw.
By the end, this match was actually a fun little tag match because Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham are a fine team.
Not just that. I Hate Rap
I hate
has
rap.
debuted on this show. It's a very, very catchy tune.
Confession time. Did anyone else have that song stuck in their head after the show was done?
Dude, it's on my Twitter right now. Not only that, Vinny, I did a little bit of investigation. I'd love to play the song here on the air, but I'm afraid we'll get shut down. I'm paranoid now. I can't imagine there being a copyright claim on I Hate Rap, but you never know. So I Googled it, and did you know that the West Texas Rednecks had, in fact, 2 songs?
There was I Hate Rap.
Yes.
And then later the sequel, Rap is Crap.
No. There's another one they used.
What?
Where they're just good old boys.
Oh, yes. I do remember that one.
They took Jeff Jarrett's music that we have loved for years, and Kurt Hennig did the lyrics. It's fucking amazing. So anyway, Kurt Hennig's out there. He's just in the best mood. They got this song. Like I said, if you go on YouTube, it's on there. And on YouTube, you can get either their Titantron, which I believe is what I put on the Twitter machine today, or there is another version which includes footage of Kurt Hennig and the crew out there in concert. And they're out there. He's playing his guitar.
Sure he is.
They're like at the Rock and Roll, the Country Music Hall of Fame.
The Grand Ole Opry.
They're the Grand Ole Opry. The music is it's so good. Like, it is incredible that in 1999 WCW there could be something this awesome. Now they fuck it up. Like, they don't do a goddamn thing with it. I watched this and I thought, this is their Steve Austin. Kurt Hennig is a rap-hating Southern boy in World Championship Wrestling, the most Southern-style wrestling company in the world. That's their Stone Cold Steve Austin. They fucked the whole thing up. Now, the match was terrible. It's Brian Adams and Vincent. But I have one other thing I got to say, Vinny. These shorts.
Thank you. You're
Okay.
burying the lead.
Yes.
Hold on. No.
I don't care about the music. I
Listen,
don't care about the match.
It's going to sound like I'm defending the shorts, okay? The shorts are fucking terrible, all right? He's got these tight jean booty shorts.
Okay.
No,
But listen to me.
they were
Listen to me.
2.5 inches from being Daisy Dukes.
Listen to me. Why were these worse than any of these other fuckers coming out here in their goddamn spandex underwear that's 2 sizes too small. Were these really worse than Norman Smiley's trunks? No, they weren't. Is it just because they were jeans that they're so appalling?
I mean, they covered more skin than wrestling trunks.
They covered way more skin.
But there was something...
They were denim.
They were denim. They had a fly.
Everybody else wears spandex.
Yeah, because you're supposed to in a sport.
Okay, so if I walked in here for my birthday...
Oh, please, God, no.
And I wore those jean shorts here, okay? Or I put on my underwear, which happened to be made of spandex. You're telling me the jeans are more appalling?
I wrestled you in those underwear many times, but basically. And in wrestling trunks many times, which are essentially underwear. And yes, the Daisy Duke jean shorts would be creepier.
It's only because the jeans look like something you'd wear in real life, and the trunks are something that you wear in a sport.
Well,
these were something Freddie Mercury would have worn.
You're both...
They were just...
No,
you're
Freddie
just all
Mercury would have
wrong.
said these are too flamboyant.
I never told this story, but when I wrestled Buddy in 2014...
Maybe Elton John. Go ahead.
The one match I wrestled in 8 years, I hadn't wrestled in 4 years, okay? I go to wrestle Buddy in 2014. I put on all my gear. I think nothing of it. And then I'm standing behind the curtain about 5 minutes before we're going to go out there. And I suddenly realized I'm basically naked. And I'm like, what the fuck am I doing in this outfit? I'm just fucking ridiculous. We're wrestling fans, so we think nothing of this,
That's
okay?
not an outfit.
But when you haven't been in the ring in 4 years, and all of a sudden you find yourself and you're standing there in a fucking tiny pair of black tights with a broken heart on the ass and nothing else, you're like, this is creepy. And I still went out there.
So there's more than the trunks, or more than the Daisy Dukes. If it was just the Daisy Dukes, maybe I could have moved on. But first of all, he's got a black tank top tucked into the Daisy Dukes.
Right.
It's weird.
He has big, giant knee pads and at least one knee brace. He has, of course, cowboy boots. And let me tell you, the cowboy boots with the Daisy Dukes.
Right.
This is some honky-tonk badonka-donk here. And on top of everything else, he's got, like, yellow carpentry gloves.
Right.
Now, that was
Yes.
weird.
Was he... Craig, I've never built a cabinet. Is this the kind of outfit you wear when,
No.
when cabinets are built?
Absolutely
You
not.
sure they weren't surgical gloves?
These were for some kind of manual
I think
labor.
they were riding gloves, actually, for, riding horses.
Could be. They were for carpentry or horseback riding or gardening, not wrestling.
No carpenter wears gloves, by the way.
Well, I see I'm wrong. But no wrestlers do either. Not like this.
No.
So I'm mystified by this outfit, and I'm sharing it with the world, and thinking we're going to talk about his outfit alone for 90 minutes, and we still might. Someone pointed out, if you look at what Steve Austin was wearing, because Austin at the time was often, when he was not when he was at Titan Towers, in fact, he's wearing jorts and a black vest. And if you think about it, you can kind of see Barry may have been trying to dress like Austin and just got it horribly, horribly, horribly wrong.
So the only thing that saves Austin's outfit is the jorts that are super tight, go down a little farther.
They go halfway down the thigh, as opposed to
Dude.
hugging his cheeks.
Also, our good friend Junior Horseman pointed out Barry has the same haircut as the He-Man cartoon character.
That did not help. So they're doing this match. The announcers are talking about the pay-per-view and how
They're doing this match.
Yeah.
Yeah, for an hour. They got the heat
Yeah.
on Vincent.
They did. That was my first thought. When this happens, it's the NWO B team and the rap-hating Cowboys. I'm trying to figure out who the good guys are, and by the end I realized it's the B team. Because they got the heat on Vincent and got a hot tag to Brian Adams.
Well, see, the thing, Vinny, is that the West Texas Rednecks are supposed to be heels because Master P and Rey Mysterio and Conan are baby faces.
That's the idea.
And so they figure that if these fuckers come out and say that they hate rap, they're going to be heels. Problem is, it's a Southern wrestling crowd
Yes.
who hates rap.
Yes. Sure.
And so actually the West Texas Rednecks are baby faces.
For most of the shows, yes. So
Well, the other guy was Vincent. Who
Yeah.
could cheer that guy?
they did.
They did.
They actually did, because Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham, whatever they're wearing, are great wrestlers. So somewhere in here, the announcers point out that at the pay-per-view, Sting was attacked by dogs.
Right.
I'm so happy we didn't watch that show, because I remember it live. And some of this stuff, it wasn't that bad at the time. You look back on it, it's horrible. When Sting was attacked by dogs, I was ready to give up in WCW forever. It was so terrible. So they get the heat on Vincent. They beat him up. People are chanting. They're clapping for Vincent. They're cheering when Crush gets his hot tag. And then things just fall apart. It breaks down into a four-way. No one knows where they're supposed to be. Wyndham grabs the bull rope. He has to literally manhandle the ref to turn his back to the action. He clunks Vincent with the cowbell, and he pins him.
There's no such thing as a match falling apart, Vinny, until we get further into the show. I will not hear those words for this match.
All right.
This was just some wrestlers who weren't very good. And by wrestlers, I mean Bryan Adams and Vincent.
Right.
But like later, I mean, we actually saw matches fucking fall apart. Like you rarely see.
Bobby Heenan talked about how people in Washington, D.C. really get into it, he says. I can think it's just it's too bad he wasn't here to see the Capitals celebrate the Stanley Cup win, man. Mm-hmm. That's people getting into it. Clips of a press conference introducing Master P as a part of WCW.
Absolutely incredible.
It really was.
Gene is rattling off the names of Master P's songs.
Master P, I will do my best Gene imitation here. I honestly don't think I'm white enough. The creator-performer of such hits as I Miss My Homies. It's the best I can do.
Master P does his promo. He grew up on wrestling.
Big wrestling fan.
I was a huge fan. So great to step into the wrestling ring. No limits in my life. I'm happy to bring a contribution to the wrestling world. Mm-hmm. They got Ray there with his shaved head and sunglasses, looking exactly like a mini Conan.
He does.
It's creepy.
I thought it looked like a mini pit bull, but
Eric's there. A lot of positive things that No Limit soldiers can bring to WCW, he says.
what does P stand for?
Percy.
Yeah, his first name is Percy.
I see.
Now, we're going to make a lot of fun of him starting today and over the next several weeks. But before we do, let's just keep in mind that as recently as 2013, this man was reportedly worth $350 million.
I saw his episode of Cribs back in the day.
Yeah.
Jaw was
Listen.
agape.
Master P was an enormous success as a businessman. Mm-hmm. And, he, somebody made this comment on the board, and then I watched it, and they're absolutely right. This would not have been such a fucking disaster if they did not do this stupid hootie hoo.
That was a big part of it.
That got annoying quick.
That brought it all off the rails. He's not a bad talker.
No.
He did totally fine in this press conference, but later in the show when he and his crew grab them mics and they start going, hootie hoo hoo.
This is not intimidating.
It died a death the likes of which I may have never seen.
All these giant muscular men in camo.
Yeah.
Who do you? No, I am not intimidated.
It's not even intimidated. It's fucking dumb.
So, yeah.
Is that an owl with a stuttering problem?
An owl who's been kicked in the balls, maybe? I don't know. Savage and his women came out. Savage said two things back to back. One, he had officially been crowned the uncrowned champion.
I wrote the exact line down.
Two, Kevin Nash had made the illegal big elbow legal.
He said,
This promo broke my brain.
last night, I was crowned the uncrowned, undisputed world heavyweight champion of all time.
Oh, who are we to argue with the Macho Man?
I was crowned the uncrowned, undisputed world heavyweight champion of all time.
That made sense to Savage.
He also was rattling off the credentials of himself and his crew. He claimed Mona had beaten, this is the exact number, 25,937 women to win the title of Miss Madness.
Did you call her Mona?
That was her name, Miss Madness Mona.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was her name, yeah.
They did not use the Mona part often, but
No.
it was there. So he's ranting and ranting and ranting. He should be champion and Nash should not be, and that's it.
He and George recreated the scene when he pinned Nash last night, and he was the unstoppable force, and her boobs were the immovable objects.
She looked a lot like Jessica Rabbit without the red hair tonight.
That's fair.
She was flat on her back, and it was incredible.
They don't move.
They don't move. They don't move at all.
No.
Okay? Not even like a tiny little bit.
No.
They're absolutely, it literally is like a Barbie doll if you laid it on its back.
Yes.
They're never going to be able to bury this woman at sea.
Tony liked that one.
Thank you, Tony.
We had pics of Sting being attacked by the Steiner brothers, Tank Abbott, and dogs. I can't... If you didn't see the show, if you've never seen it, I can't express how stupid this was. How poorly conceived, executed, shot, filmed. Everything about Sting being attacked by dogs was terrible. Like, it's burned in my brain. Hugh Morris versus Kidman. You got Bobby Heenan saying Huna Kanranas. Mm-hmm. We had Kidman bumping his ass off, taking a hellacious beating. Then he set up a chair, but he stopped to punch Jimmy Hart, which was stupid. And Morris slammed him onto the chair, which he deserved. And Kidman hit a facebuster onto the chair and a shooting star press for the win. I don't know why these chair shots were allowed.
Who cares?
Right.
I will say that upon watching this and having another 19 years of seeing guys like Ricochet and M-Dog, Kidman has to have the least graceful, ugliest shooting star press in the history of wrestling.
It's up there.
Who's worse?
Even Mark Marrow. At least
Mark Barrows was way better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He tucked in, but, I mean, oh my God.
Ric Flair and Arn Anderson came out for a promo.
So keep in mind, last night, Flair and Piper wrestled each other.
I don't even want to talk about this. It's so completely illogical and nonsensical.
Well, they joined up after the match. Piper turned heel.
Okay, yeah. So Roddy Piper, last week on Nitro, told Marcus Bagwell, if I beat Flair and am president of the company, I'm going to give you the ball. So Piper is wrestling Flair for the presidency of the company, and Marcus Bagwell comes out and attacks Flair. Piper is just DQ'd. Flair wins.
Right.
And then Piper turns heel, and they beat up Bagwell. What? Seriously, what happened? Why?
Well, I understand Bagwell's motivation.
Why?
He wanted to see Piper lose.
No, he wanted Piper to win.
Excuse me?
If Piper wins, he was going to give Marcus the ball.
You're right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm confused too.
Yeah. So Flair comes out, threatens to bang a fan's mom.
All the fans.
He says he wants Piper to be his vice president, and says Piper's going to bang Hillary.
He says Piper needs to come out and become the vice president of the world alongside him.
Yes. So Piper comes out with his bagpipe band. He goes on a rant about the Clintons and addressing the whining wrestlers in the back. He accepts Flair's offer, making sure that he gets to be in charge if Flair dies. And Flair says, hey, at my age, I could drop dead right here. 1999, he said this. So Flair and Piper shake hands, they're dancing, and out comes Buzzkill Dean Malenko to kill the fun.
Actually, you know what? Last week I said he was out for a, reprogramming. Mm-hmm. This promo actually showed some fire.
He did?
I suppose.
I thought so.
I thought it was terrible.
Okay.
It was, I did love the line. Roddy Piper's out there and he's doing this crazy promo. Some of it's good, some of it's shitty. Some of it he comes off a little like Brent, where he thinks he's a lot funnier than he actually is. And he has one awesome line where in the middle of his crazy tirade, he says, and I quote, I have done everything and some stuff that I've made up.
I did say that.
That's the most accurate thing Roddy Piper has ever said in his life.
Yes. So Dean starts whining about how it's time to pass the torch. And he says, you need to be like John Elway and pass the torch to a younger football player. Which is not what happened. Mm-mm. John Elway won back-to-back Super Bowls and then retired. He took that torch home. It's still hanging on his wall in Denver.
Can we mention, by the way, before you go on, that Piper's excited to be the president.
Vice president.
Vice president. But they make sure to say, since you're the president and I'm the vice president, if you get hit by a turnip truck, does that mean that I'm the president? And Flair says, at my age, I could drop dead right now. Roddy's all excited. So even though, did you mention this whole thing?
I might have.
I had an issue I was dealing with on the text message.
he did.
Anyway, then Rick starts screaming, Hot Rod. Did you mention that? Hot Rod.
I did not say
Hot
that,
Rod.
no.
Hot Rod. Okay, I added something then. He was very excited.
Well, thank God.
Very excited to say Hot Rod.
Anyway,
I was texting with my wife when you brought it up. I'm sorry.
Arn tells Dean,
The babe's trying to escape her crib.
oh,
That's not good.
do you have the camera in there?
There's a camera in there, yeah.
Can we put the cam on the video?
No, I can't do it here.
Because frankly, that sounds more exciting than us.
Well, it's more exciting than the show.
Does she have like her blankets tied together? And
Well, no, she's got a sleep
rappelling
suit on.
down?
She's got like a sleep suit, zips up, so she can't get
Sure.
out.
I see.
But she's trying.
Okay.
they have Velcro.
I'm not Velcroing the child down. It wouldn't hold her down anyway.
All right, whatever.
She's 2.5.
Explain to me about the sleep suit then, because it sounds like the same thing.
Imagine a sleeping bag with armholes that zips up, but you can't unzip it.
Ah, so her
so you
feet
have
are
no
contained.
legs.
I see.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Anyway, Piper starts attacking Dean. They're all beating him up. Out comes Buff to run out and attack them. Chris Benoit and Saturn are backstage,
just chilling out.
chilling. Benoit points to the monitor. hey, check this out. They decide to go attack. They are jumped by the Jersey Triad, which makes sense because Paige is like the same age as Flair and Piper, so it figures he'd be on their side. The Cat comes out.
Before that, I just want to mention how much I hate that storyline with Dean Malenko. His line about how, have some class, step down, and pass the torch. You say your class, prove it. It's like, fucker, you prove it.
Yeah.
Beat him.
Yes.
What the fuck are you talking about? What ball are you going to give him?
I mean, I think I made the comment during the match later, but if I, for the rest of my life, never have to hear about one wrestler telling another, I'm being held down.
It sucks.
Yeah, fuck you. Cat comes out, says he is not finished with Scott Norton. If Norton doesn't come out...
I'm finished with Scott Norton and the Cat.
If Norton doesn't come out, Cat says, I'm going to put on my karate gi and beat up all the fans.
That I'd pay to see.
Please don't come out, Scott Norton. This sounds more fun. So, as far as I can tell, by the way, the NWB team is now babyfaces. Because they're feuding with the Cat, who hates the fans. They're feuding with the rednecks, who hate rap music. So, we get Scott Norton versus Cat.
Now, there's a very important detail here. So, before he comes out, Shat produces a box. And he opens it up, and there are some new red dancing shoes. And so, the storyline is that these are his dancing shoes, but they're also loaded
Sure.
and can be used as weapons. Okay, fine idea.
Sure.
All right? That's a nice idea in storyline.
On paper, it sounds great.
This guy's a dancer, and he's got special shoes that he dances in, but that he could also use as a weapon. Okay? The problem is, these are actual dancing shoes.
Right. No
And
soul.
so on the bottom of them, there's whatever they put on the bottom of dancing shoes, so they're super slick.
Yep.
So they're having this fucking match. I'll let you talk about Bischoff. I got to talk about the finish. You want to talk about a goddamn match falling apart?
Yeah, this was worse, actually.
So he's in there, and Shat puts on his magic shoe.
Just one.
Just one, yeah, just one. And the whole idea is that he's going to kick Scott Norton with this deal. So he goes to throw a kick at Norton, but it goes over his head, and then the spot is simply duck the clothesline. But because he's wearing this fucking shoe, he goes to duck the clothesline, and his feet go whoosh, and slip out from underneath him. He falls down on his ass. Now the timing is off for everything. Because what's supposed to happen is he misses the kick, he ducks the clothesline, Norton goes for it again, and he hits the referee. Well, instead, he ducks, he falls on his ass, Norton's standing there, the Shat is down. He has to wait for him to get up, and then he goes, ugh! And Shat has to fall down again, even though he fell down and got up, now he falls down, and Norton has to hit the referee. It's the fucking most horrific miss spot you've ever seen.
I'm actually blown away you were able to figure out what they were even trying to do.
I watched it like 6 times because I was just watching it going. First I watched it and I thought, what the fuck happened here? What the fuck happened here? I watched it again. By about the 4th time, I saw him slip.
Okay.
And then I saw the shoe on that foot, and I realized he's using an actual dancing shoe for a gimmick, but he also has to, like, run around.
Yes.
This company is so fucking stupid.
Well, all I wrote about this was that it was a horribly botched finish with everyone out of position, and it was unwatchable.
It was always watchable, all right.
This is where, I'm not sure, Bischoff joined in the middle of the show, the commentary desk. He was not there at the beginning. He came in halfway through. I don't know if this was his first match or not, but this is the first time I started to
It was the
notice
first
him.
one.
So first he starts talking about, somebody throws a kick to the side of the knee. Bischoff says, you can take a man's knee out with 8.5 pounds of pressure.
That's right.
Fuck off, you idiot.
Then, Cat throws a kick, and Eric Bischoff starts to bury Jim Ross by name
Yep.
for only being able to call things a savate kick or a side kick. So all Jim Ross ever says, according to Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff, the man whose middle name is back leg front kick, is making fun of somebody else for not knowing the names of kicks.
It's not even that. Shat threw a kick, okay? And Tony Schiavone calls it a roundhouse, okay? And granted, the guy was supposed to duck, but Bischoff is going off on Shivani going, that's actually an inside crescent kick.
Yes.
I'm like, motherfucker, it was a fucking round kick. It was a roundhouse, you fucking idiot. He's going on, and then he starts going off on Jim Ross. Then he actually says, I don't even know what a savate kick is.
Yeah.
Well, savate is a French martial art, and they fucking kick. You fucking idiot.
Yes.
Who claims to be a martial arts expert. Just goes on and on.
Also in this match, at one point, Sonny Ono got involved with a crowbar.
Yes.
We didn't even mention this part.
Well,
And-
yeah, go ahead.
He blows his intention. He totally misses, and the crowbar is laying in the ring. Cat throws the kick and is more concerned about getting the shoe out of the vision of the ref while the crowbar is sitting inches away from the ref.
That's not even the biggest thing. Norton gets hit with a crowbar,
Right.
kicks out. Gets hit with a boot, pinned. Those shoes, those fucking shoes are more damaging than a goddamn iron crowbar.
So at last, this giant stinking pile of shit ends, and we move right into Disco Inferno and Van Hammer. Are you really going to tell me Raw's worse than this?
Yeah, I am.
Disco Inferno and Van fucking Hammer. No
Well,
one gave a shit about this match. It
no,
sucked.
it was bad.
It went for a long time. It
They
sucked
fucked
and
up
it
a neck
sucked,
breaker.
and nobody cared. Dude, that fucking neck breaker. Oh my god. Like, Disco. Think about.
It's so simple.
Disco grabs him by the head. All you got to do to take a neck breaker, you bend over, the dude grabs your head, you spin and land on your back.
Yeah.
Hammer, it's like he's trying to break dance. He spins, goes down like on the back of his neck, like straight down. He somehow managed to. I mean, you think just from physics, if you're bent over and you roll, you're gonna come this way, right? Hammer goes like this way. He broke space time trying to take this neck breaker.
It's like he spun the wrong way. I don't know exactly.
Maybe he
what
was
happened.
expecting a shake, rattle, and roll, and Disco was just going to go on number one.
I was so pissed when
Or
he fucked up
something.
that neck breaker.
That's bad.
It goes on and on. They do another neck breaker. The ref gets bumped. Can't have a clean finish in Disco Inferno and Van Hammer. And then Hammer hits a back suplex.
Yeah.
And he hooks the tights, and he fucking wins.
Yes.
Fuck you.
Vinny,
All of you.
Vinny, do you know what the problem is with this whole thing?
Well, there's a long list, but go ahead.
Problem is, like, in every bad thing that we've talked about so far, I can find one bit of silver lining. I can hear I hate rap.
This must be a new thing.
I can see that
You're on the right show.
Master P was trying until he said hootie hoo. Gorgeous George was out there. Flair and Roddy Piper were funny. Flair kept screaming "Hot Rod" over and over again. Ernest Cad Miller had that hilarious fucking miss spot that I watched 65 times and laughed harder every time. And, you know, Disco and Van Hammer, you know, Scott Dickinson took a stunner afterwards. It was better than any stunner Vince McMahon ever took in his entire life. So in every segment, there was like one redeeming quality. On Raw, nothing redeeming.
I'll get to it.
Nothing.
This was bullshit. Everything about this sucked. This week of all weeks, they plugged Dennis Rodman returning to WCW.
Right?
Fuck yeah, he's
amazing.
back, baby. This next match wasn't bad.
No, I love this match.
Picks of the Jersey Triad somehow beating Benoit and Saturn for the tag belts of the pay-per-view. Then we had Fit Finley versus Brian Knobbs.
Yeah. A guy who's not going to take Brian Knobbs' shit.
Nope.
And didn't, and beat the hell out of him.
I'll be honest, Brian. I wrote here these exact words. This was better than the disco match.
Yeah, it was.
Let me write that down.
Now, also, nobody cared about it. The ref got bumped, a chair got used, Hack hit Knobbs with a stick, and Finley won.
Yes, that all happened.
Sable was shown in the crowd.
You don't remember this?
Nope.
Where were you?
Watching Raw.
Man, she was unbelievably attractive as well.
I know. They took her out
Wearing
of the...
so many clothes.
Listen.
Like, she was way more attractive in clothes than she was when they always made her come out on Raw with no clothes on.
Listen.
It's not like she was unattractive.
I'm a big
Wearing
fan
no
of,
clothes.
I'm a big fan of vinyl. I'll just leave it at that. And
Now I'm weirded out.
and when she was
Look at me.
dressed up, she was sexy.
Thank you, Craig.
Yeah.
Couldn't you just said that she was really sexy wearing, like, that outfit she wore on the show, her business attire?
Yeah.
Do we have to hear about your vinyl fetish?
It's not a fetish. I just like what I like. What?
So they couldn't
I
name
don't
her.
wear a mask or anything,
A.
for God's sake.
He couldn't.
This gets worse.
They couldn't name her, obviously. They couldn't even call her Rena Mero. They just said, hey, there she is. She's been in Playboy. And they had some guys, just random guys, sitting next to her, doing their best to ensure the pervy fans did not manhandle her. And
Those guys had a job to do.
it did. Nash comes out for a promo. Nash comes out. Bischoff gets all cheesy, super over-the-top excited. Oh my gosh, it's the World Heavyweight Champion. We're so lucky to see him here. And he says, that's how you talk, Shivani. So, Eric Bischoff, for weeks now, has been telling us, the viewer, that he is going to save Nitro. It's a bad show, he says, but I'm going to turn it around. Then he comes out here and he buries his own lead play-by-play guy for showing passion and energy. What the fuck?
He's an absolute fucking idiot, but we'll get to more on that later.
Now,
The spring and summer of 1999 showed what a stupid, stupid man Eric Bischoff can be.
the world champion came out wearing sandals,
Which he addressed, yes.
cut off shorts. He was wearing jorts
Thank God they weren't too tight.
and a generic T-shirt. This is your world champion.
Actually, I'll top you on that, Craig. Was it here or it may have been his later appearance? But at some point in the show, Kevin Nash comes out in an NWO tie-dye T-shirt. Even though, as far as I can tell, he's the only one left in the NWO.
Sure.
And also on the back, it has the peace sign with a red circle and slash through it. Kevin Nash ripped off Van Hammer's gear.
I was going to say, you sure you weren't mistaking
I am
him
quite
and
certain,
Hammer?
because he came out right afterwards.
'Cause, I mean, once the bell rings,
Let's not go there. There's no winners in that discussion. So,
who should appear on the big screen but Sid? Sid Vicious is back. In his first appearance since stabbing Arn Anderson in a hotel room in like 1993, he's back. And he appears and he cuts a promo. He knows all the buttons to push. And he pushed the right ones last night, and Nash has made the biggest mistake of his life. They're fighting for the title in the main event of Nitro tonight. What a main event we have to look forward to.
can't wait.
Very disappointing promo by Sid. Way too coherent. Didn't fuck anything up.
They don't use him very often, so I never paid attention, but how can a company owned by Ted Turner have a screen so lame compared to Monday Night Raw?
Because WWE had their own screen. This was a screen inside the building.
What about the one above their stage setup?
Fuck if I know.
Why can't they, if they're going to use a screen,
I couldn't answer that question.
company owned by Ted Turner and Turner
It's
Network
WCW.
Enterprises to get a better screen?
That's the answer.
We had pics of Piper and Flair and Bagwell and fuck.
Who?
I don't know who that guy is.
Whatever. All I knew is by the time this video package aired, I wanted to find the cemetery where WCW is buried and vandalize their headstone.
Oh, terrible.
Wow.
Flair, Piper, Kanyon, and DDP versus Benoit, Malenko, Saturn, and Bagwell.
This was good.
Yeah, they had a lot of good wrestlers, all action.
Let's put Chris Benoit in the ring for 10 minutes.
fair.
Just let it happen.
That's fair.
Yeah. I did think it was funny that his stuff, and this is what happened. It was Benoit in the ring by himself for 10 minutes against the other four guys. His stuff with Flair and Piper, I thought was much better than the stuff with Saturn and, or with Kanyon and Page. Because Kanyon and Page were in there, they're trying to do moves and spots, and then Flair and Piper get in there and they just fight. And the fighting was really good. Let's see. Quadruple figure four spot, which is always fun.
Except Dean Malenko couldn't figure out how to do a figure four.
Well, but Bagwell got in his way.
Yeah.
That's part of it. Bagwell gets the hot tag. They teased it and built it up so well. Place goes crazy. Dudes are fighting in and out of the ring, and suddenly Bagwell pins Flair with a blockbuster out of nowhere.
Hey, sweet.
A clean pin.
Bagwell beats Ric Flair clean in the middle of the ring, blockbuster off the top rope. After all this bullshit about passing the torch and all this shit, finally a guy just beats somebody.
Yeah. Hack versus Rick Steiner. Bischoff absolutely slurring his speech, trying to talk about how Chastity, she looks tough. She still looks good. She's a movie star. I haven't seen him. He's just it's off in space. I'm guessing Rick Steiner's gear got lost because he's out there in jeans.
No, that's his new gimmick.
It's a hardcore match.
And a WCW, okay, well, whatever. So he's out there in jeans and a WCW sweatshirt and his sunglasses, which stayed on for a long time in this brawl.
And a dip in his mouth.
And tip in his mouth.
Dude,
didn't notice that, but it makes
his
it
new
better.
gimmick is awesome. I love it.
He's just Rick Steiner.
Just beat the shit out of this guy. They literally, like, they didn't completely destroy a Hummer. So I can't come out here and say that they destroyed $500,000 worth of stuff, but they destroyed a Hummer. They destroyed a Harley Davidson. They destroyed a camper.
Wasn't a real Harley.
It doesn't fucking matter.
I know.
It was a goddamn motorcycle. Like, they probably legit did $50,000 worth of damage here.
Listen, in the backstage area, you're telling me there was a Hummer. I can
Yep.
believe that. There was a
camper.
85 Ford Bronco that was lifted. That just happened to be back there.
Yeah.
There was a nice bike, not a Harley. There was a camper trailer from the late 60s.
Sure, yeah.
Just happened to be there.
Well, you know, some people like to travel in a camper.
And by the way, with the camper came a sectional.
Yeah.
This is backstage in the.
Yes, Craig. Some people like to travel in style.
I believe none of this.
You think they're just piling into a rental car after the show?
Of
Come on.
all the unbelievable things on this show.
In this segment!
That's your fucking problem?
Absolutely.
So I want to draw attention to one thing, which is that let's not say that they just hit each other with vehicles or threw each other into vehicles. At one point, Hack turns his back to Bam Bam and starts throwing kicks at this fucking bike.
Yeah.
He's crazy.
What did the bike do to you, dude?
Okay, I got one for you, Craig.
Okay.
Okay, so you're all appalled that there's a 1960s camper back there with a fucking sectional. Okay,
Yeah.
I find it more preposterous that earlier in the day,
Yes.
Sting was sitting there and he thought, I have a vision. Tonight on Nitro, it's going to be Rick Steiner versus Hack.
Sure.
And these two shitheads are going to brawl backstage. And I'll bet you anything that they're going to brawl on top of this fucking car right here.
Sure.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get in the goddamn car, and I'm going to be ready to jump out and go after Rick Steiner when that happens.
I'm going to put on my gear.
Yeah, I'm
put
going
on
to paint my face.
I'm going to paint my face.
I'm so mad I'm going to do my face up.
I'm going to hide in this particular convertible Hummer for hours and hours.
Yes. That's stupid.
Yeah.
So eventually, Steiner slams Hack through the roof of the convertible Hummer, but Sting pops out and attacks him, beats him with a bat a lot, goes to the ring, and just cuts an insane promo.
Well, I would have thought it was insane, but I've been watching his 88 promo, so it wasn't that crazy.
That's actually a fair point.
Yeah, this was tame.
I mean,
He didn't just randomly go, ah!
he did that back in the day.
Yeah, repeatedly.
Yes.
Every time he lost his train of thought, he'd just scream.
So Sting is attacking Rick Steiner with a baseball bat, a potentially lethal weapon. Bischoff's out here making jokes about home runs and doubles. Doesn't
Yeah.
give a shit.
Turn this.
Bischoff killed this entire show. Like, every word Bischoff spoke, my opinion of him lowered. And it wasn't that high to begin with. So then Sting, in seriously one of the great feats of strength of his career, he just throws Rick Steiner over his shoulder and carts him out. Steiner's a big dude.
Yeah.
So there was no finish to this hardcore match between Hack and Rick Steiner. La Parka and Psychosis versus Rey Mysterio Jr. and Conan.
This was fun.
Your boy Eric Bischoff is rambling during this match.
Oh,
Now-
I noted some stuff.
Now, keep in mind what we have seen up to this point, and keep in mind that the main event of the show is going to have no fucking finish, and they're not even going to give you the match that they promised. This fucking guy's going on and on about how we're turning things around.
It's
We're-
gonna take time.
It's going to take time, but you know what? We're committed to doing things right. Fuck you. You're a goddamn idiot.
This is the same match, by the way, where he said this is going to be, quote, hip hop meets kick butt.
Yeah.
I mean, that's okay.
No.
Him telling me they're going to turn this goddamn thing around in the middle of this fucking show, that's not okay.
The fact that he was talking about turning Nitro around when he was by far the worst part of the show is actually amazing. So, they did a very U.S.-style tag match with the heat on Conan and a hot tag to Ray. Conan did a tope in this match.
He did.
He
He
did.
was feeling it. He had the No Limit Soldiers out there.
I
This
guess
guy's got
so.
so much money.
He had his working shoes on.
He was like, man, I'm going to get in good with Master P.
So Conan hits an X Factor and Ray hits a diving Rana and they get the double pin. And then as soon as they get the win, I hate rap plays. And the Cowboys are taunting them from DJ Rand's booth. And Master P and his crew go running over. And the Cowboys flee. And P cuts a promo on him and says, hooty hoo! Over and over again.
God, I was dying. This jumped the shark so fucking fast. If they would have just chased away those rednecks and grabbed the mic and said, we're going to kick your ass. How dare you play that bullshit over our song right here? Disrespect DJ Rand's booth. Instead, they get up there and they just start jumping around going, hooty hoo! I'm like, you're supposed to be cool?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the most uncool thing I've ever seen. Ever in my life.
They did actually play a Master P's song on the network.
Yeah.
I was
he did.
stunned. Kevin Nash versus Sid Vicious
God.
for the prestigious WCW World Heavyweight Championship.
Shall I do the buffer intros?
I only wrote down one part.
All right, I got Nash's and Sid's. So on Kevin Nash, Michael Buffer, who is back, by the way, been gone for a while. They decided to pay out that big money to turn this ship around. He says of Kevin Nash, this superstar is universally recognized as the best big man in professional wrestling. His signature trademark is the jackknife powerbomb, but he's also known for his ignore the pain courage.
Excuse me.
And tonight, with fractured ribs and bad knee, he again refuses the doctor's advice to pull out of this match. And yes, he said knee singular in that sentence that exact same way.
He's known for his ignore the pain courage.
Yes.
Now, you can put hyphens in there, I guess. This is some very, very poor English.
Sid comes out. He stands 6 feet 10 inches tall.
Correction. Sid's supposed to come out.
He's supposed to come out. They play the music. He stands 6 feet 10 inches tall and weighs 314 pounds. Last night, he made a spectacular but disruptive appearance at the WCW Great American Bash. And now, he gets a chance for the title. The man also known as the superstar among big men, and he is also known as a master of the powerbomb.
I have never seen a greater example of self-parody than Michael Buffer doing WCW ring intros.
It's awesome. I should have written everyone down in history.
Just do that book next.
Yeah.
A collection of Michael Buffer ring intros.
Yeah.
So Sid does not come out for his entrance. Randy Savage comes out instead. He says, I want the belt. Nash says, come and get it. So Savage goes into the ring. Nash drops the belt at his feet. Savage bends over to pick it up, and Nash punches him, and the bell rings.
Yeah.
So now we're having a match, I guess, between Nash and Savage. The women are just in the ring, blatantly attacking Nash. No one cares. Sid runs out and attacks Nash.
Oh my God. Sid sprinting to the ring was worthy of mini rewinds.
So the fans start calling for Goldberg. And by the way, where the hell did Goldberg go?
Fuck if I know.
It's
He's,
like a
he's
month.
just gone.
They mentioned that Bischoff had mentioned that he's been hurt.
Huh.
He said he was on the shelf during the
see.
show.
So somewhere in here, as Kevin Nash is fighting 5 people, the ref calls for the DQ. Eric Bischoff is outraged. Let it go, he says. Let it go. As the champion of his company
I was so mad.
is being mauled.
It's just like,
Fuck you.
he's... I can't even think of like a good analogy. It would be like if one day you guys drove all the way out here and I was in a really bad mood and I was like, we ain't fucking doing the show. And then as I say, we ain't fucking doing the show, go home, I was simultaneously saying, just do the show. But then I forced you out as I'm saying, oh, I'm just going to do the show, but get out of here.
This is believable.
I'm okay with this, actually.
I've never done it, though.
No.
Eric Bischoff here.
Let's try it
booked
next week.
bullshit in the main event, and then is crying that the main event finish is bullshit.
Yes.
For a fucking finish he fucking booked.
Got me, dude.
Where's your damn music?
Play the fucking music.
This show sucks. Might want to turn it up, I guess.
The finishes on this god-awful show were pin after cowbell shot, pin after multiple chair spots, but the ref let it go, so I guess it counts as a clean pin. Pin after crowbar shot, pin after a back suplex and a pull of the tights, pin after chair and stick shots, clean pin, no finish in a hardcore match, DQ in the main event, even though the promoter thought it was cool that one guy was fighting 5 people.
Bad.
Let's get into it. WCW Monday Nitro number 196, June 21st, 1999.
Now, this is a very important show. You want to know why? There's only
Sure.
one thing of any value that I'm going to talk about here on this show, okay? So, last week, a Hummer ran into Kevin Nash's limo. Or maybe it was 2 weeks ago, okay? It was a white Hummer. So, yes, it was a white Hummer. That's what I'm getting at, Vinny.
Yes.
So, this week, a black Hummer shows up.
Yes.
And black Hummers keep showing up. And so now it's like the Bernstein Bears.
I was going to say, yes.
Yes. What do they call it? The Mandela effect.
That works
Now
too, yeah.
everybody remembers a black Hummer. Who drove the black Hummer? There was no fucking black. It was a white Hummer. But because of this show and every show thereafter, it is getting to people's head that the Hummer was actually black.
So what you're saying is throughout the summer and fall of 1999, Nitro gaslighted us. They told us a lie so often we started to believe it.
Well, I think that they can't remember.
That's also possible.
But so now we're stuck thinking it's a black Hummer.
Well, on this show, it was in fact a black Hummer.
And one other thing. This show opened with a Master P concert, which was edited off Nitro.
Good.
So if you're wondering why the show was shorter, and you're celebrating that fact,
I was.
You can thank Master P.
I hope he does a concert every week.
So do I. Hope it's a show-long concert next week.
So yes, a black Hummer arrived. Out steps Randy Savage and his crew. They don't notice a 40-foot limousine pulling up behind them. Time passes. Kevin Nash gets out of the limousine. He runs after the Hummer, which suddenly drives away. I was hoping he would try to keep up with it, but no. We're one segment in. I already have no idea what the hell is going on.
Well, he wants to find out who drove the Hummer because it tried to kill him. Why is that difficult to figure out?
Why? I don't know.
Why his plan was, I'm going to show up in a 40-foot fucking limousine.
Yeah.
Maybe I won't be seen.
Why not hire a guy to take
leap out?
pictures of all the cars that come in and get the license plate? That took me no thought.
Yeah, Vinny, but that's a coward's way to do it. I'm just telling you.
Clips from the pay-per-view. They recap the whole Kurt Hennig angle. It started with him getting an autograph from Master P, but then breaking the CD in front of his face. And then all the bullshit with the Cowboys and the Rappers in the match that evening. Lenny Lane and Lodi did a horrendous promo.
Oh my God, I loved it. It's just fucking ridiculous.
I've never seen two men who can't act like this.
Well, yeah. And they were supposed to act like they were gay.
Yes.
Yeah. A bunch of sexual innuendos.
Double entendres throughout.
Lodi shows
Back
up and
rubs.
rubs his shoulders.
Yeah.
Lenny talks about his staying power.
Stamina.
His stamina.
Yeah.
It's preposterous, but I loved it. It's just ridiculous.
I can see this would be in the category of so bad it's good.
Yes.
I can accept that. Psychosis versus Kidman. I don't know if it was just me noticing this or if who was ripping off who here, but Psychosis looked like he had just watched a bunch of Sabu matches right before coming out there. He's doing the Arabian press, does the jumping top rope Rana like Sabu used to do, the spinning kick off the top rope. Kidman did a big dive. The announcers compared him to Vince Carter, who I just want to point out 19 years later, Vince Carter is still playing in the NBA. Which is pretty amazing. So they go to the finish. Kidman goes up for the shooting star press. And Psychosis, half rolls out of the way. He just rolls onto his side. But he won't roll away. He won't roll any closer. And finally, Kidman comes down with a stomp. And then Savage and his crew run out for the DQ.
Well, I think what was supposed to happen was...
I assume Savage was late.
Yeah, him and Sid were just taking their sweet-ass time down the aisle.
Yes.
And Kidman looks like a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Running DQ in this match. The announcer spent the entire match talking about this fucking Hummer and who might be driving the Hummer. And if you notice, Tony says the first reports we got were that it was a female. So they wanted you to believe that it was Sable, who showed up last week on television. And then, of course, WWE threatened to litigate. Mm-hmm. And so WCW claimed, well, she bought a ticket. We didn't know she was going to be in the front row with security.
Yeah.
Just a coincidence. And then Sable told USA Today that she bought a ticket on her own because she wanted to go to the event and find out if WCW was as raunchy as WWE. It was not, she said. She couldn't watch television.
No.
She had to fly to the town,
Yeah.
hire security, get a front row seat, and sit there on camera. So anyway.
I can't blame her. So Sting runs out. Savage and Sid bail before he can get there. And this brings Nash out, and he's all suspicious. How come, Sting, that you were in a black Hummer last week when you beat up Rick Steiner? How come you come down to the ring and Savage and Sid leave before you can lay a finger on him? Sting says, I didn't drive the Hummer. And Nash says, I'm not accusing you of anything, but if you did drive that Hummer, you have to deal with me.
I gotta say one other thing about this match here. So, Savage and Sid run in, they beat up the cruiserweights. And this was a big scandal here in the 90s. These cruiserweights, they just make them look like geeks. it's very fascinating watching wrestling in 2018 because WWE makes their mid-carders and higher
Yeah.
look like far fucking bigger geeks than these guys on a regular basis.
Yes.
How many fucking geeks did we have on that pay-per-view? They made Asuka into a geek. Mm-hmm. Times have changed.
Times have changed. Flair and Piper are hanging out backstage.
This was awesome.
Flair says we should do Sid and Savage versus Nash and Sting for the next pay-per-view. Piper says let's do Sid and Sting on TV tonight for free.
You're underselling these two guys being completely out of their minds. We got now Crazy Flair and Crazy Hot Rod. They're going nuts. They're complete clowns. Roddy comes up with the idea of Sting versus Sid, and Flair has a conniption fit. He's never heard such a great idea in his life. I love this segment. I'm liking a lot on this show so far.
We're on a roll. They showed Buff Bagwell pinning Flair in an 8-man tag last week.
That was good.
Lenny Lane versus Meng. Meng's permed mullet was in fine form. So they're doing this match. Lenny goes up top. Meng wasn't down or stunned. He was just in the ring. So as Lenny exits the ring and is climbing, Meng has to look around and just shout and bark like Meng does. And then once Lenny gets up there, Meng walks up. He grabs him by the chin and does a Tongan death grip press slam for the win.
Yeah.
That was awesome. That's all I got out of this.
Yeah, this was just Meng killing the guy. It's probably Lenny's best match ever.
It may have been.
It's not saying much. And Lodi was very sad about all of this.
The announcers recapped Sting popping out of the Black Hummer last week. And then Master P and the No Limit Soldiers hit the ring.
This segment. This was horrific.
It was Silk the Shocker's birthday.
Silk the Shocker.
Yes.
That's Master P's little brother.
Yes, and years later he would do MVP's theme song.
Really? I did not know that.
did,
Wow.
yes, yeah.
How about that?
So they decide it's a good idea to grab a fan in an afro wig, have him come in and sing Happy Birthday.
Am I the only one that thought that was Disco Inferno?
I figured it had to be somebody.
Yeah.
Something was going to happen.
It was just a fella.
A fan.
Yeah.
He sang badly and quietly. They all said, hooty hoo. Kurt Hennig comes out.
We'll get into Hootie Hoo. Don't worry, Tony.
Yeah, if it makes you laugh.
I did some fucking research.
You're going to enjoy
We'll
this.
get into it.
Kurt Hennig comes out with a gift. And there's 50 guys out there. So clearly he's no threat. They allow him into the ring. Kurt apologizes for dropping the CD at that other show.
Master P has no idea what Kurt Hennig's name is. He just keeps calling him Cowboy.
Cowboy. That's fine. We knew who he was talking about. So he asks if P will accept this gift, and Master P is suspicious. He says, you open it. And it's a cowboy hat. And I'm pretty sure Kurt called Silk the Shocker Seth. It's just like Seth always wanted.
Yes.
So Silk
maybe that's his real name. I doubt his real name is Silk.
Or Shocker.
Or Shocker. It's unlikely.
So Silk takes the hat and he says thank you. Then he stomps on it. And they all throw cake on Kurt. And they all shout hooty hoo over and over again.
My fucking God.
And I hated this. I hated this until the end. Because, first of all, these guys were assholes.
Kurt. This is the whole key here, okay? WCW, it's not completely stupid to think that the fans are going to like the No Limit Soldiers. They're with Ray and Conan, and they're going to hate Kurt Hennig. And so it is not completely ridiculous to presume that maybe the fans are going to boo Kurt Hennig for presenting Silk the Shocker with a goddamn cowboy hat, okay? So I can't really blame them too much for this, but the way that it came off because the fans hated these fuckers, largely because they kept going, hooty hoo! Kurt presents Silk with a custom-made leather cowboy hat.
He got him a gift.
That's a really nice, thoughtful gift.
A sincere gift, a peace offering.
Yes. And Silk even said, I've always wanted one. But then they pour cake all over Kurt. They beat him up 12-on-1, humiliate him. Ungrateful shitheads. The No Limit Soldiers. And then they had to go hooty hoo again. If it wasn't bad enough.
When Kurt collects himself and he puts his hat back on, he's outside the ring, and he's facing down, brim down low. He's all flared up, covered in cake. Just covered in cake, solemnly walking up the aisle. I couldn't help but laugh at that. And everyone's going, hooty hoo! And Bobby Heenan says, what a party.
Yeah.
I may have given that too much enthusiasm.
Yes, this sucked. This sucked.
Juventud Guerrera versus Eddie Guerrero.
So 3 weeks ago, Eddie returned. Total babyface on commentary.
Yeah.
The nicest, most humble man you've ever seen. Now he's back, and he's a heel.
Yes.
And he works a long-ass match. Mm-hmm. He's like at, I don't know, 25% of Eddie Guerrero, which is still 50% better than everybody else.
Yes.
They have a boring-ass match. The crowd's dead. Eddie still looks awesome. And then he wins with the frog splash.
This was awesome for about 3 minutes, but unfortunately it went like 10.
Easy 10.
Yeah. And the crowd, there's a fight in the crowd that people are paying more attention to. Eddie hadn't wrestled in a while, so it's not like he was getting the piss chopped out of him, but he was still all red from Hoovy chops. And Hoovy did do a tope of death at one point, but then Eddie grabbed him by the neck and spun him around, then hit a frog splash for the win. I enjoyed it.
All you need to know is that the next match was Shat versus Prince fucking Iaukea. Okay, let me say that again. The Eddie Guerrero match was followed by Shat versus Prince Iaukea.
Yes.
There was so much more heat for Shat. He's out there dancing. They're booing him like crazy. They hate the guy. I mean, the match was fucking terrible.
Maybe they knew what was coming.
But dude, Shat got some heat. And he used the loaded red shoe again. At least he didn't fall down this time like an idiot. And you know another positive? We didn't have to listen to Eric Bischoff yell at the announcers about their karate knowledge.
That's true. That's true. There was no Bischoff on the show.
Thank God.
That's excellent news. So we had here a spot where Iaukea whips Cat into the ropes, and Cat just stops and super kicks him. Why don't all wrestlers just stop if you can do that then? And just kick the guy.
They don't have his karate balance.
They're brawling. You know what? That's actually a fair point. Yeah. That's a very good explanation. Then they're brawling on the floor, and Cat slams a beer or pours a beer in Iakea's face, and they're trying to do stuff out there, but now there's beer all over the floor. They're slipping all over the place. Cat hits the shoe-assisted kick for the win. Booker T versus Kanyon. 15 minutes plus a commercial break, and then DDP and Bam Bam run in for the DQ. Wasted so much of my time. A total waste of time. That's all this was. A long, long waste of time.
I'll rant about this later, but I will say that opens up with Kanyon saying, I'm going to beat up Booker T tonight, but I got a question for everybody. Who better than Kanyon? Dead silence. He just moves on. He didn't give a shit. Back in the day, he would do that, and they would scream everybody, and he would pitch a fit. Now they just don't even care. And yes, they went on and on and on. I'll give him a little credit. When Booker made his comeback, the crowd came to life. And then, yes, DDP and Bigelow hit the ring for the shit DQ. I was furious at this point. Much more furious than I am right now recapping it.
It was terrible. So they beat up the ref. They hit Booker with a combo diamond cutter onto the belt. Logically, this would lead to Booker finding a partner and challenging for the tag titles, but I have no memory of that happening. I guess we'll see. Flair and Piper and the rest of their crew come out for a promo.
Remember like 4 months ago in 1999 or whatever, or maybe it was mid-98, I don't remember when it was, but maybe it was the summer of 98 when Viagra first came out,
yeah.
And there was a fucking Viagra joke on every show for like 3 weeks.
Yes.
Okay. I've never said this before, but I'm pretty sure that Flair like OD'd on Viagra before this promo. Flair's always talking about chicks riding Space Mountain. Mm-hmm. He couldn't stop.
That's all
he couldn't cut this promo. Every 3 words, he would stop and start calling out some woman or some guy and tell him he was going to fuck his woman.
Yeah.
I mean, nonstop for minutes on end. He couldn't quit. I don't even know what he was talking about here.
Well, I'll talk about Piper first. Piper spoke first and was actually coherent. He's mad about the Y2K kids.
He actually called them the Millennium Kids.
I didn't hear that part. Yeah.
Yeah, he was ahead of the curve.
Roddy Piper
he knew
coined
what this generation would be called before they were called millennials.
He was sick of Buff Bagwell whining, made fun of his tan. So Gene asks Flair about partying in New Orleans, which is where they were tonight.
I do want to add that Roddy Piper said, Buff, you're a liar. You never beat Ric Flair. Even though, in fact, Buff beat Ric Flair clean in the middle last week.
And
I just loved it.
And they showed us.
These are great heels.
Flair, Piper, I will say this. I've forgotten how awesome Piper as a heel in WCW
Oh,
was.
man, he's way better.
Because the comedy's better. because
Yep.
he's supposed to be crazy.
Yep.
Even his wrestling, his brawling with Benoit last week was like the best thing he did. It was
Not only
awesome.
that, he's paired up with Crazy Flair. So we have Crazy Flair and
Yes.
Crazy Piper together.
Yes.
How do I not remember this vividly?
I don't know.
This is the best act on the show right now.
So Gene asks Flair about what are they going to do in New Orleans after the show's done, and Flair just, first of all, he just can't stop smiling. He's silent.
Yes.
He's collecting his thoughts. He's overwhelmed with all the poon he's going to get that night on Bourbon Street. And then he just says, there's either I got a lot of grandkids in this crowd, or there's a lot of women who still want to ride Space Mountain. Acknowledging several times in this promo that he's very old. He said, at my age, I may just drop dead. But if I do, it'll be on top of a woman. That's virtually a quote.
That is exactly a quote.
Yeah.
He almost died on Buff's girlfriend last night.
He made fun of Buff for eating chicken breasts and Diet Coke.
Yep, he said Bagwell's girlfriend called his room last night, wanted to know why they call Rick Space Mountain, but Bagwell was just Buff. And he said, I showed her why I almost died on top of her last night.
Yes. So Buff came out to fight him. And Buff's fighting Piper and Flair and even Arn. It's 3-on-1. And there's a ref there. I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And then Flair had the decency to go through the formality of making this a handicap match.
Yes.
So it's Flair and Piper versus Buff Bagwell. Fine. So here was where it really, really sunk in and hit me what a complete disaster this 1999 Buff Bagwell babyface turn was.
Hey, he was over for a while here in this match. I mean, it was good for like 5 minutes, but then it went another 30.
We went back because Buff is thought of. Sad to say, Buff's legacy is the guy who killed the return of Nitro in one night in the match in Tacoma with Booker T.
Yes.
And we went back and started watching these Nitros in the beginning, and for a while, Buff was really, really, really good. Then he turned heel, had a whole new character, a little more comedy to it, but it was still very funny and entertaining. And then he hurt his neck, and we were trying to figure out why he didn't do the big babyface return then. And he came back, and he was just Scott Steiner's flunky for a long time, and now he's back as a babyface full-time wrestler, and he's just not very good.
No, he's an acceptable babyface,
He's
but
competent.
Flair's in there. Hey, I'll tell you one thing, though. So Flair's in there, and Flair and Bagwell is great. Flair just gives him everything. The place is going nuts. Piper's not nearly as good. He's still giving Buff a lot. So finally they cut the guy off. They work on him for like an hour.
Yes.
So then, who should come down to make the save for Buff Bagwell but Dean Malenko?
Let me stop you for a second. Before Dean comes out, Buff was so immobile by the end of this. I legit thought he'd hurt his neck again. Turns out he was just blown up and couldn't go anymore. Like they were trying to grab him by the head and pick him up. He would just lay there. So Piper does the best sell of a low blow of all time. I made a gif of it. I'll post it in the thread. And Dean runs out for this tag. I would like to think that they were watching this backstage and they thought, Jesus, Buff sucks. Malenko, get out there and save this match. And so Dean goes out in street clothes to try and save the match. So here's Dean in the corner now to be Buff's partner. So to get the hot tag, Dean does. And
Worst hot tag of his career.
Dude,
He fucked everything up.
it wasn't just him. Guys, they were all in each other's way.
Well, sure, but I mean, this is the Dean Malenko that he's begging to have the torch passed.
Yeah.
He's begging to be in the main event.
Yeah.
He's begging to be a top guy.
Yeah.
Finally, he's in there with Rick fucking Flair
Yes.
and Rowdy Roddy fucking Piper.
Yes.
And he fucks everything up.
All they had to do was a hot tag spot. Just whip, elbow, through a couple punches. That's all they had to do. They fucked up everything. This, by the way, lends credence to my theory this whole thing was inaudible. Because you can't tell me that Dean Malenko, Ric Flair, and Roddy Piper could do this bad on just a hot tag unless there was some extenuating circumstances. So I think Buff hit a blockbuster, but I can't tell because the camera was zoomed in on Roddy Piper's hand deep inside his trunks. Eventually he pulled out a gimmick. Not that gimmick, Tony. He hit Buff with it.
I mean, we don't know. I never saw it. Maybe he has a detachable penis.
He hit Buff with the gimmick. Flair got the pin as Dean, who was now a legal participant, had Arn Anderson, who was not a legal participant, in the cloverleaf.
Yes.
This was a total disaster by the end.
A total clusterfuck. Made everyone look stupid.
Yes.
Well, mostly the baby faces, actually.
Yeah, but this is no good. Ray Jr. and Conan versus Dallas Page and Bam Bam Bigelow. So, I don't know how many No Limit soldiers there are, but it felt like, seriously, by the end of this segment, at least 20.
Well, did you notice there's a new No Limit soldier in Brad Armstrong?
Somebody figured out, we need a No Limit soldier who can actually do matches once in a while. And nothing...
Besides Swole?
Besides Swole. And nothing screams No Limit soldier like the Armstrong brothers.
Hell yeah, dude. Brad Armstrong.
So Brad Armstrong is now a No Limit soldier. They're get the Heat and Ray.
Yeah, because Conan and Ray versus DDP and Canyon.
Theoretically.
Didn't we just see a Canyon singles match that went like 5 hours?
Well, you will
earlier
note
in the
here,
evening?
this actually started as Page and Bigelow.
Oh.
And then it became Bigelow and Canyon.
Wow.
And then it became Bigelow and Page and Canyon. Yeah. So it was a 3-on-2 match, just with one guy always on the floor. Meanwhile, there's a literal army of soldiers around ringside. None of
Yes.
them were doing a damn thing about this. Blatant cheating.
Yes. So I might add, by the way, that last week we talked about how Conan is so much better in a tag team. All he has to do is stand on the apron, make a hot tag. Well, some fucker this week decided, I'll show them. We're going to get a heat on Conan.
Yeah.
They beat the shit out of Conan. He can barely move. He's lying there half dead. I mean, the only good thing was they gave the tag to Ray, and he made a good hot tag. But this, Vinny, now I will address this match-length DQ bullshit. It's one thing to do it. I want to say it's one thing to do once in a show. If you're going to do a shit DQ finish, this match should be maybe 5 minutes. You make me sit through a fucking 15-minute match with 2 heats. They got the heat twice.
Yeah.
I sit through that fucking match for 15 minutes and you give me, it's not even a good DQ. It's a bullshit. Dudes run in for the fucking DQ. That's 2 on this show. Okay, I hit my limit after the second one. The first one sucked. This one, lazy, bullshit, infuriating. It's not even like a creative DQ where, a no-limit soldier throws in a gimmick or something, somebody gets it, the other guy gets it, the ref sees it, whatever.
It's just a guy runs in and attacks.
Dudes run in. That's the best you could fucking come up with after 15 minutes. Fuck you. I hate this show. Hope this company dies.
So the Cowboys hit the ring for a brawl. Saturn and Benoit join in. More soldiers come out from the back. More of these no-limit soldiers. There have been Royal Rumbles with fewer men that were in the ring in this segment. And they were all going, hooty-hoo!
Fuck this hooty-hoo! I'm going to tell you something about hooty-hoo. There's actually, believe it or not, Vinny, there is a Wikipedia entry for hooty-hoo. Now, I was unaware of this, but hooty is spelled with a D.
Okay.
So it's not hoot, like an owl. It's hood.
Like a hoodie.
Like in the hood. Hooty-hoo.
Okay.
But they pronounce it hooty-hoo. So according to Wikipedia here, this music video was shot. Are you ready for this? The music video for Hooty-Hoo
Okay.
was shot in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh, hey, how about that?
The video starts off with Master P, Silk the Shocker, and C Murder in a military base in the future. Also in the video, there are numerous occasions when female dancers are dancing to a white background. Wikipedia for you. Although there appear to be a large number of dancers, there are actually only 2 thanks to the use of computer graphics.
Wow. The future.
Most of the TRU members are wearing Ricky Williams' jersey since he was still playing for the New Orleans Saints in 1999. In 1999, when the video was filmed. This Nitro was in New Orleans.
Yes.
I think that they filmed the fucking Hooty-Hoo video this week
They may well have.
while they were there doing this fucking WCW bullshit, and that's why they're hooty-hooing everywhere. I'm telling you, if they hadn't done that hooty-hoo, they might have got over better.
It couldn't hurt. Yeah. It would have helped. And it's time for the main event.
I've got your bufferisms.
How about that? I only wrote down one, so you go ahead.
You wrote the whole thing?
No, I only wrote down one
I
line.
see.
It was about what he said about Sting, but go ahead.
This is for Sid Vicious. Standing 6 feet 10 inches tall and weighing 312 1/4 pounds, he's one of the cornerstones of the madness known as Team Savage, led by the Macho Man, Randy Savage. He is without a doubt one of the best big men in the history of the sport. He is the master of the vicious powerbomb. He is known for the vicious destruction of his opponents. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Sid Vicious. And now to Sting. wearing black and silver. I apologize. Let me start over again. I don't want to mess up Buffer's pros.
They'll probably sue you.
Yes. Wearing black with silver, weighing 249 and 1/2 pounds, and standing 6 feet 2. This is a man known to professional wrestling fans the world over for his reluctance to join any faction or organization within the sport. He is the enigmatic warrior who marches to his own drum. He is the master of the Scorpion Deathlock. Ladies and gentlemen, he is the man known as Sting. Was he not in the fucking Wolfpack? Am I imagining things?
Oh, he was for a long time.
He was in the Wolfpack.
Yes, yes.
Get your facts right, Buffer.
I like, before Michael Buffer introduces Sid Vicious and Sting, he says, "It is time for the main event of Sid Vicious versus Sting."
Yeah.
Okay, your job's done now, Michael.
No.
You can go home.
He's got to tell you that Sid is 6 feet 10 inches tall and weighing 312 and 1/4 pounds. He had a 1/4 pounder before the fucking show. It's important we know those details. And you know another thing about Sid I noticed during this match? He's 312 pounds and 6'10". And do you know what his style would be in the UFC? He's a fucking striker.
Well, yeah.
What?
So Sid is not known for his takedowns or submissions.
Well, he could be known for like his power moves, slams,
He's got
throws,
one power move.
lifts.
2. He does a power bomb. He does a choke slam.
Yeah, all he does is
Otherwise,
he kicks,
He kicks.
he boots,
He does clubbering forearms.
he clobbers.
He does technically do chokes, so they will not be allowed in the octagon.
No. He is a striker.
Yes. So after all that intro, all that build-up,
A shit match.
the whole show-long tease, they go like 3 minutes, and Randy Savage attacks with a DQ.
Bullshit.
Dude.
A fucking useless professional wrestling television
This is
show.
like a beautiful afternoon. We all could
Don't
be
even
outside.
get me started, Vinny. Don't even get me started.
I gotta get a way to like download these on a tablet so I can in fact watch these while on a walk. That'd make me happy.
Dude, you can watch them on a tablet whenever you want, geek. Just play it.
Yeah, I gotta have Wi-Fi too.
Do you have
I can't-
do you have like a phone?
I was talking about going to the park. I guess I could do it on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Maybe I'll just do it on the
Or
phone.
you stream from your phone to the tablet using your phone's cellular.
I don't think mine's set up that way.
I'm pretty sure it'll work.
Yeah.
Maybe not. I guess you have to set it up that way.
So Lex runs out with a chair to stand by Sting's side, and I swear to God, nothing happens for 3 minutes. They all look at each other. Someone eventually tells Savage, got a promo. Savage says he'll put Sting and Luger out of wrestling. Now Sid's got to get his promo in, and he starts talking. Suddenly they're up against the clock.
I kind of like Sid's promo. It was really shitty. That's what I've been waiting for. His horrible promos.
Do you have my music ready?
Would you like me to hit your music?
That was a good time.
All right.
The finishes on this show were a double DQ when both men were attacked. One clean pin, and it was by Meng. Pin after a kick with an illegal shoe. A DQ after guys had wrestled for almost 20 minutes and then dudes ran in. Pin after a gimmick shot. DQ due to run-in. DQ due to run-in. And then a DQ due to run-in.
Fuck you, Nitro.
There are more DQs than pins or submissions on the show.
No wonder Bischoff wasn't on this show.
That show sucked.
He was hiding.
In shame.
It wasn't shame. If not, he should know better and he should be ashamed. That was a shitty, fucking terrible show. And then Raw.
Another shitty, fucking terrible show.
Don't ask me why it's called Phantom Power, Craig. I didn't invent
didn't
the term.
say a thing, dude.
You idiot. All right, anyway. Now I'm hot and sweating.
A changed man, everybody.
Do you want to start over, Brian?
Fuck no, let's just do it. Get going. It's behind the scenes here.
Retro Nitro. Frankly, we do need more behind the scenes stuff. The best stuff is off camera.
That was on camera.
That's true.
Should we edit it off?
That's my point. The best stuff is off the air. That's what
Okay.
I'm doing.
That was on the air.
Good. WCW Monday Nitro number 197, June 28th, 1999. A limousine arrives next to the Michael Jordan statue in Chicago. Outstep Rick and David Flair along with Uncle Bruce, who is later explained as one of the owners of the Bulls and Blackhawks, the basketball and hockey teams in Chicago.
Bruce was awesome.
So Flair goes off about how Bruce built this building, the United Center in Chicago. He built it for David, so David would have a place to win the World Championship. Uncle Bruce says, we're going to build an even bigger statue for David right next to this Jordan statue. Steven Regal and Fit Finlay versus Chris Benoit and Perry
Vinny's
Saturn.
very much downplaying this first segment.
Well, no one said anything, so I moved on.
Guy, Bruce. Well, I was trying to figure out what's going on right here, because all of these problems, everything's all messed up here.
I'm sorry.
And I'm
Continue.
fucking sweating. So first off, David's now got a bleached blonde hairdo. Mm-hmm. This has done him no favors.
Did you not have this before?
No, this is new.
first time.
He's now got the bleached
The
hairdo.
Flair Platinum Blonde.
Yep. Yeah. This Bruce fella who owns the United Center or whatever, he's fucking so great. He's just a guy. But man, Flair starts doing his crazy Flair promo, and Bruce is inspired. And boy, he just goes into full poor man's Ric Flair mode. Let me tell you something. We had Bruce, this random Bruce guy, we had Ric Flair, and we had David Flair. Okay? Bruce should be the world champion, not David. Okay? Bruce was a ball of lightning compared to young David Flair here. A 10 times better promo, 10 times more charisma. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I know what's going on.
Rick actually started instead of "Be like Mike" chant,
Be like Dave.
"Be like Dave."
Yeah.
That never caught on.
No. I would say that in this segment, David Flair was fourth in the charisma scale behind his father, Uncle Bruce, and the Michael Jordan statue.
Well, yeah, there's the statue too.
So the opening match here was Steven Regal, who is now back with his company after his real man's man stint in WWF. Steven Regal and Fit Finlay versus Chris Benoit and Perry Saturn.
What a great match.
They had a very good, basic formula tag match because the formula always works when you do it right.
With a winner.
There was a clean winner. William Regal's palm strikes to Perry Saturn's face in the corner. Jesus Christ. So Saturn suplexed him straight over onto his head. And they teased and teased and teased a tag to Benoit, and Benoit got the tag. And as we have mentioned, he was very good at his job. Made a great comeback. And then Saturn hit Regal with a DVD and pinned him. Thumbs up.
Yeah, Benoit and Finlay were awesome together, and then Regal got in, and he's kind of fat, but he's still kicked everybody's ass. Place goes crazy. DVD right on Regal's head. Mm-hmm. God, this match was great. Why can't Nitro be 3 hours of this?
Did you notice the flagpole breaking before it actually hit its opponent?
I did not catch that.
It's kind of cool.
It was cool?
You know.
No, I don't know.
It was neat, Brian.
Because he got the behind the scenes of a fake pole?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Why do I show up here every week?
I don't know.
Why? Your opinion is unquestionable?
I have a great job. I don't know why I'm here.
Anybody else? Vinny?
I'm just talking.
Okay,
What
let's
are you
move
mad at
on.
me? Flair and his crew are having a meeting when Van Hammer walks in.
Van Hammer's the best wrestler in the world.
Excuse me?
Don't question my opinion, Vinny. Why do I even show up here? Go on.
Been asking myself that for years.
Damn it. So anyway,
I work with an 8-year-old.
I'm just making a point here. We're all allowed to have our own opinion. I didn't think a flagpole breaking early was cool. I was just asking Craig why he thought it was cool. That's all. We don't have to fight here.
No, we don't.
Where were we?
I can't imagine which one of us is being confrontational.
Well, it's not me.
Van
I just
Hammer.
asked a question.
Van Hammer walked in and asked for a title shot, and they said, sure. And they said, you get a match against Rick Steiner at Bash at the Beach. He said, thanks.
No, he said, I love it.
Sure.
That's very different.
Okay.
That's your opinion.
There's thanking them, and then there's he loves the idea that he will face Steiner at the pay-per-view. I believe a thank you. I don't believe I love it.
I see.
Yeah. That's my opinion.
I just love...
Sticking to it.
I've watched a lot of wrestling shows where a lot of wrestlers have asked for title matches, and usually the answer is you have to beat so-and-so, or absolutely not, you're not healthy, or this guy's not healthy. There's always a million excuses. I don't think I've ever seen one where a wrestler says, I want a title match, and they say, okay.
Well, Vinny, you got to look at what's going on.
Well,
here.
they think Rick Steiner's going to murder him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
They were giggling about it, Flair and Piper.
This would be
were.
like if someone annoying on Raw came up and wanted to have a match with Brock Lesnar, and, the heel GM is like, great.
Enzo, for example.
Next week. Yeah, exactly. It's a perfect example.
So Mean Gene brings Team Flair out for a promo along with Uncle Bruce. So they all come out, and then Flair says, I'd like to bring out Roddy Piper. And Piper gets his own separate entrance. It's a 3-hour show. Got to kill some time. So Piper comes out and cuts a babyface promo sucking up to the Chicago sports fans. Then he starts ripping on Howard Stern for a while.
Yeah, he blames Howard Stern for all of the Y2K kids backstage who want a push to the top. It's Howard's fault.
I don't get it. I don't know what's happening.
And then he challenges him to a fight.
He did? He insulted Howard with an insult Howard uses to insult himself.
Right.
This is not an effective way to pick a fight.
No.
He talked about the Y2K kids for a while and then referred to Flair as Rickus Flair.
Yeah, because he's like
A Roman emperor?
Yeah.
Like a dinosaur.
Or a dinosaur, either way. So Flair hypes up Davis' title match and says, I want to apologize to Randy Savage. Please come out here, Macho Man.
Now, before we even went to Flair, Roddy Piper says, Kevin Nash tonight is going to face a young man. Did he really forget David's name? He could not, for the life of him, come up with David Flair's name. And finally he goes, I'm going to throw it to Ric Flair, who's going to tell you all about this youngster. And then Rick has to announce David versus Nash.
He may have said that. I didn't catch that.
Well, if anybody knows Flair, it'd be Flair.
You would hope.
My son, he calls him Big Bad Dave. By the way, if you were on the board, so
Nope.
Was it Big Bad John? What was the guy's
Big Bad Steve.
Big Bad Steve? That's fucking Pindar.
Pindar without the mask.
Dude. He sure didn't Pindar my life on Thursday. It's just a fella this time. They need to put him back in that lizard costume.
Well,
When's Pindar coming to Defy? That's what I want to know.
I'll talk
Forget the Luchasaurus.
apparently, the last episode of season 3, Pindar's head was cut off
That's right. I'd forgotten about
by a
that.
doggo with a sword. So Pindar will not be returning to Lucha Underground anytime soon.
Damn it.
Tragedy.
Now, if his tail, then like a gecko, he might just go back. But I don't think coming off the head works. You know?
Yeah.
So Flair calls out Savage. Savage comes out. He's got Sid. He's got Medusa. He's got the whole crew. This ring is very crowded at this point.
Yeah.
And the Flair says the one thing we all have in common, we all hate Kevin Nash. Since when does Ric Flair hate Kevin Nash?
Kevin Nash is a babyface champion. He's a heel.
The last time I remember Kevin Nash and Ric Flair doing anything together, Nash was in Flair's office and they left all buddy-buddy.
Didn't Nash beat Flair for the title?
Did he?
I think so.
That would do it.
Everything runs together. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
It would be nice if they explained why Flair hates Nash.
Why? Every single week.
It would change.
Somebody changes. Somebody's something or other. It was actually worse on Raw. The big boss man
Oh,
You're not
geez.
wrong.
just shows up and says, I love you guys.
Everything was worse on Raw, as we shall get to. So Flair wants Savage and Sid to be lumberjacks in the title match later. He says, I will unban Randy Savage's big elbow.
Which, by the way, is never... I mean,
It was-
he's used it every single time he's in the ring.
Yeah,
It's true.
Charles Robinson steps up and says, wait a minute, he nearly killed me. I was in the hospital with a tube in my chest for weeks.
I got a scar right here.
Yeah, he's showing a scar to everyone and then all the women. Piper just pulls him aside to shut him up. Savage says, I do not care who is world champion as long as it is not Kevin Nash. He asks Sid his opinion. Sid says, let the madness run free.
So awesome. Sid's just standing there like a cheerleader. The biggest fucking ugliest cheerleader you've ever seen. Going, let the madness free! Over and over around the ring.
Everyone just ran their mouths for a while, and it finally ended. And the biggest deal is actually Arn Anderson was in the ring this entire segment,
Yep.
silently leaning in the corner.
Yep.
At the very end, everyone said their piece. The music's playing. They're about to wrap it up. And Sid just walks over to Arn, and they very briefly shake hands. This was the first time they were in a wrestling ring together on television since they stabbed each other with a pair of scissors in an English hotel room and tried to kill each other.
Yeah.
No squeegees were used either.
No. So,
Separate incident.
Oh, really?
yeah,
Yeah.
the squeegee was that was Pillman.
That was
Oh, that's
Pillman.
right. My
Yeah.
bad.
No, this was, well, it's a long story. But yeah, they tried, they someone could have died easily. But they're fine now. Wrestling is weird.
Time heals all wounds,
Time and money.
including puncture wounds.
Sure.
Yeah.
And stitches.
Yeah. Lodi and Lenny were having a moment backstage.
Were they ever?
Lenny is worried that WCW will find out about them. Lodi says they are not the only ones in the company. Lenny agreed. WCW, he says, is an open-minded place.
Oh, yeah?
You know,
As if. Get out of here.
Laney Lane was not a very good pro wrestler.
It's the worst promo.
He was much, 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 much worse as an actor.
Yeah, but it's funny.
Was it?
Yeah, it was, actually. I thought this was hilariously bad. But, like,
Yes.
this gimmick is so preposterous. You want great acting? It's even funnier with him sitting there going,
I would like
don't know. What?
some emotion.
There was emotion.
A shred. No, there wasn't.
That was fake, but it was ridiculous. Come on.
Lodi versus Eddie Guerrero.
What the hell do you want out of Lenny and Lodi?
I don't know. Not wrestling Eddie Guerrero. This match began. I actually said out loud, "Good luck, Eddie." A minute later, it was over, and he had no luck.
Immediate ref bump. I mean, like the bell rang and the ref fell down.
And yet, this match went 1 minute, and yet watching Eddie in the corner trying to manhandle Lodi and the ref in a position for one ref bump, and it was the very first thing they did. My God. So the ref goes down. He gets squashed in the corner like an avalanche, and he's apparently on life support. He's down for 2 minutes.
In a 1 minute match? It's impressive.
Whatever. He was down with the whole time. Eddie beats up both dudes. He goes for the frog splash. Lenny tries to make the save by covering Lodi in a 69 position. So Eddie shrugs, hits a frog splash on both of them. The ref recovers. Eddie pins Lodi. This sucked.
You know, Eddie came back a couple of weeks ago. Total babyface. Mm-hmm. Then he has a match last week, and he's a total heel. Now he's out here with Lenny and Lodi, and it's 1 against 2. He beats both their asses and wins. I mean, what's fucking going on here? He comes out looking all mean. He's got kind of heelish music. I'm pretty sure the guy's supposed to be a heel. But anyway, he was awesome. He did all he could with these two.
I suppose. It was a mighty handicap. I'll acknowledge that. Flair is going over all the plans for the title match with the crew. Piper determines the deck is not stacked heavily enough in their favor, and says they should recruit the Jersey Triad.
He says, maybe Bam Bam, DDP, and that young guy, what's his name? Mm-hmm. And Flair says, Canyon. And Piper says, yeah, he's dumb enough.
He did say that.
And meanwhile, you've got Flair, and you've got Piper, and like everybody back there is totally fucking out of their minds. And there's David with his bleached hair, just sitting on the couch like a lump. Doesn't say a word. He's got no facial expression. No. He's like a wax dummy.
Are we sure he was awake?
Just sitting there.
Hack comes out for a promo. And I promise you he actually did this. He says, somebody back there doesn't like my matches. I'm calling out Ric Flair.
Okay, so the storyline is... Ric Flair's the president, and he has banned hardcore matches. So Hack is mad, and he wants to wrestle Ric Flair.
I see.
I was so...
Oh, don't even tell me. Begging.
I don't even know the words. I just cannot believe...
Salivating.
The concept of Ric Flair versus the Sandman.
You know they'd have a good match, though. That's what's crazy about it.
Somehow. Yes, I know it would be good, but I still can't picture it for a minute.
I can't either.
but
I know it would be good.
I don't know. So instead, Bam Bam Bigelow comes out, which is a good thing, because if Ric Flair had actually come out, my brain might have exploded. And so Sandman just removes his shirt.
And they have a wrestling match.
He was in the best shape of his career. And yes, Bam Bam Bigelow and Hack had a wrestling match.
It's horrifying.
I like when Sandman comes...
fucking terrible.
He comes off the ropes and he hits Bam Bam with his sternum.
Yeah.
He just runs forward, he throws his arms and shoulders and head back and just clobbers him, sternum first. So Canyon and Page show up. Hack fights them off with a stick for a bit. He hits the White Russian leg sweep, but then Page lays him out with a diamond cutter, and Bam Bam gets the pin. And I wrote here, every bit as sloppy as you'd imagine, but in the end it worked.
My favorite thing that Sandman does, my favorite thing that Hack does, is this swanton that he does. It's so out of control and flailing, and he never hits anybody with it, hardly ever.
That's like all of his offense. The senton is like his offense in aerial form.
Okay.
Like when he hit him with his chest.
Yeah.
That was basically a senton. He was just on land. Know what I mean?
He doesn't hit it. Never mind.
He's fine.
He's fine.
Nash comes out for a promo.
Oh, God. What does Nash's fucking promo start with? Well, we got to randomly reference Scott Hall being at home. Mm-hmm. If you didn't read The Observer, can you imagine watching this goddamn show for 4 years? And like every month someone's talking about where Scott Hall is. You never see the guy.
No.
You don't know where the fuck he's at.
The last time we saw him, he was in the loony bin with Flair.
That's right. God, maybe he's still there.
That's right.
I hadn't thought of that.
So he has a challenge for David Flair since he's doing his title match tonight. Nash, will put the World Championship on the line, but if he wins, he gets Torrie Wilson for 72 hours.
And he says 72 hours, and Bobby Heenan goes, "That's all?" And Nash must have known that would be the obvious question, because he explains, many people in wrestling have tried to get women for 30, 60, or 90 days. But he says, 72 hours with Big Sexy, and she'll be ruined. I guarantee it.
Is that a good thing?
That's your goal?
I don't know. I didn't understand this.
I remember when I was, how old would I have been during
Where
this
is
show?
the story going?
I would have been, what, 23?
Okay.
Sure, somewhere in there.
I would have wanted to stuck with her for years.
Yes.
72 hours, you idiot. And he says, with that little incentive, I guarantee I'm leaving as champion.
Because otherwise, who knows?
Keep in mind, by the way, I mean, shit happens and all. I guess you could just change this show on the fly. But Monday Night Raw was advertising Stone Cold Steve Austin versus The Undertaker
For the World
for the
Heavyweight Championship.
WWF Championship.
And you were competing with Kevin Nash versus David Flair.
They're spending an entire show billing David Flair in a match with Kevin Nash where they're stacking the deck so you think that David Flair's leaving with the title.
Yeah.
Can you fucking imagine?
Isn't this the Taker-Austin match that broke the ratings record?
Yes, it destroyed.
In hindsight, the way these two shows unfolded, this is a record that they should credit Nitro for. Nitro drove so many viewers to Raw.
Yeah.
This is where I wrote the show ground to a halt.
No! West Texas Rednecks were next.
Who are they in the ring with?
Well, I mean, the
Brian?
match sucked.
Okay,
but
then.
I will accept that after their entrance, the show ground to a halt.
Vincent
Their entrance was so awesome.
Vincent and Stevie Ray and Horace and Brian Adams versus Kurt Hennig and Barry Windham and Kendall Windham and Bobby Duncan. And yes, Kurt Hennig's half-assed line dancing as I Hate Rap is playing.
Dude.
Just a little two-step.
Well, I'm going to jump ahead to the video, okay? Later
It's
in the
your
show, they do the video for Rap is Crap. And it's all four of the Rednecks all playing in a fucking band. Kurt Hennig is singing.
Yeah.
He's a fucking atrocious singer, which makes it even better. They got all the other geeks. One of these geeks is playing drums. One of these geeks is playing the guitar.
It was Barry Windham, who I should now imitate his drum technique.
These guys, but this is the thing, they were having the time of their life.
That is true.
Like, you know WCW sucked. There was nothing about the company that was any fun, but they got to go out there and they got to be a band and shoot a music video for this fucking terrible song. Highlight of all of their careers.
They're out in this huge square or campus or something.
This was in public.
Yeah, there's fans there. There's a stage.
There are fans. There are plural fans, a dozen or so.
Sure.
Sure, but
This
yeah.
huge empty field.
They drew a crowd.
Technically,
Sure.
by the literal definition of the term, there was a group of people there.
But I just loved it because they were all having so much fun doing this stupid gimmick.
Well, on that note, Kurt Hennig especially, and I hate to say that this was like inspired by a tragedy, but since he has come back since the death of Rick Rude, he has given zero fucks and is just out there to amuse himself. So when this match begins and Brian Adams and Barry Windham are in the ring doing high spots for like a minute straight, if you listen close, you can hear Kurt shout, "You're blowing me up!" Watching these guys. Now, I expected this to be high in the running for the worst matches of 1999, which, as we've discussed, is a banner year for terrible pro wrestling matches. It was better than that. It was not even the worst match on the show.
What was worse than this? Just out of curiosity.
The Eddie and Lodi match was worse.
Oh, no. I mean, the problem with this match was there was zero heat.
Correct.
There were hot tags.
Really? The B team and the West Texas Rednecks had a feud and no one cared? I can't believe that.
Well, I figured, okay, people love the song. They're into the Rednecks. There's got to be like a modicum of heat when someone's in trouble or somebody gets a hot tag. They're tagging I'm considering the Rednecks the babyfaces. They're tagging the babyfaces. Nobody cares. This fucking 8-man that it broke down to at the end of the match was a disaster.
it was not very good.
God, it was terrible.
My exact words were, "This is very weird and not very good, but watchable."
I mean, it was watchable.
Which made it that
I
far
didn't go blind.
This was much better than like the NWO Battle Royal that had most of these same people. So
That's true.
Yeah.
The NWO Battle Royal was significantly worse than this.
Yes.
I'll give you that.
Yes. So eventually, Kendall and Duncombe hit Vincent with a double bulldog and pinned him.
I was going to say, you know that a tag match isn't going well when the hot tag is delivered to Vincent.
Yeah.
God.
Imagine. Of all the wrestlers in the world, let alone this match, I would much rather watch Stevie Ray do a hot tag. Cat versus Disco Inferno in a dance contest.
Nick Patrick is the referee.
Yeah.
And he's calling it like a shoot.
By the way, can I just say, Nick Patrick has grown the most amazing mullet back.
I could hear Angel singing as his mullet flowed.
I actually think that he's had that mullet for a while, but normally he has it in a ponytail.
It's been
possible.
It's been cut, and now he's growing it back, and it's phenomenal.
Well, my feeling is he ties it back when he actually has to do a match.
So
but because this was a presentation, he was a host.
I see.
He had to let it down.
This is the top shelf conditioner he's using.
Yes.
It's not just the flow in the back; it's also the inflated top, making him look like the drummer for Boston.
It's terrible. 1999, he's got that hairdo.
Yeah.
Even I got rid of my mullet by like 94.
So Nick Patrick's in there. He's got more than a feeling. And the
Nice one, Vince.
thank you. So Cat goes first. As the winner of the contest will be determined by audience response. So Cat promptly insults the audience and threatens to kick their ass.
Yeah, same deal about getting his gi out of his car.
Yes. Mm-hmm. He puts on his red shoes. He does his James Brown dance, and that's that.
You know what's funny about his James Brown dance is I watch it and I honestly can't tell if he's any good or if he is not. Because like there are things about it that look like he's really good.
Sure.
And then there's stuff that looks like a total parody.
Like, I couldn't do what he does.
Yes.
But if I could, I would do it better.
Yes. I guess that's a good way to put it. Disco is in the corner dying of laughter watching this fucking guy do his dance. You know the best part of this was? Allow me, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
So, Disco's howling at this guy's stupid dance. Then they're like, now it's time for the Disco Inferno. And he goes over in the ring and they start to hit his music and he starts shaking his hips and he starts doing his hand deal. And they cut to the Nitro girls and they're all going crazy for this dance.
They love Disco.
But of course, these fucking idiots cut to them right when Shad attacks him, so you don't actually see the attack.
Right.
They cut to the girls, they cut back, and Disco's down. Like, do you have a heart attack dancing? What happened here? We find out that Shad beat him up. So anyway, they have this brawl or whatever. But the best part of this is, you know, you watch these matches and there's a match going on, but like the announcers are talking about Hulk Hogan or Kevin Nash or something. These, I guess there was nothing else to talk about. Tony and Bobby are breaking this dance contest down.
Yes.
Tony is insistent. Okay, Shat has kicked Disco and left him for dead. Okay, that should be important in a dance contest. Tony must announce the winner. This guy is down. What's going on here? Where'd my voice?
I hear you.
I hear you.
Is my mic dying here in the middle of this show?
Oh, wait, that's bad. No, mine's out.
Everything's powering down now.
Hit save, and then we'll come back. What the hell is that? Is your house haunted?
It's just my mic?
No, it's all
It
of
was
them,
all
dude.
of us. Now it's gone again.
No, you talk, Vinny.
I'm talking.
It's like it's surging.
It is
almost.
coming and going.
It's fine here.
The hell is going on here?
It's a brownout.
That was bizarre. Where was I?
Is it still recording, dude?
Yeah,
Yeah, everything's going.
The graphic there doesn't seem to be. We're good?
It seems like it's good.
Oh, there it
right.
goes. Okay.
Okay.
Is our headphones dying?
I don't know. I have no idea.
It looks fine over there. Are we haunted? Anyway, it killed my mojo.
So
Anyway,
there's a dance contest
Tony
going
is
on.
insistent to tell us who the winner is. He must let us know who has won this contest. And then him and Heenan, as Shat is kicking the shit out of Disco Inferno, they start debating what dancing is.
Exactly.
Tony says, well, you know, Disco only moves his hips.
He didn't really dance. He just moved his hips.
Shat was actually dancing. He was moving his feet.
Sure.
And Heenan goes, well, I dance. I only move my hips. They're actually breaking down the technique in this fucking dance
The
contest.
definition of dance.
They didn't give a shit about the angle. No. Probably because they didn't want to see the match. But man, oh man.
That was the weird part. They actually had a dance contest that led to a match.
Yeah, which was not clear to me for like a minute. I was
No.
like, how long is this brawl going? Oh, there's a ref in there. Oh, he's counting pins. This is a match now. So yes, Cat versus Disco Inferno in a wrestling match. Crowd was bored and chanting for Goldberg, who just vanished. It's been like 2 months now. There's no explanation. Sonny Ono tries to interfere. He hits Cat instead. It's not a DQ. I guess you can't get disqualified for kicking your own guy. And then Jerry Flynn arrives and kicks Cat for the disqualification. And Jerry Flynn challenges Cat to a kickboxing match in the Georgia Dome for next week.
He also cursed.
Well, yeah, as he's leaving, really the best part of this entire segment.
Yeah.
He looks right into the camera as he's walking up the aisle, and he says, "That's the way you take care of Ernest fucking Miller." And then he goes,
You see my capture on
probably. Hey, this is not quite as funny as Booker T accidentally calling Hulk Hogan an unacceptable name, but same concept.
Yes.
Same idea.
All I know is that Flynn, he didn't just challenge him. He goes, I want you to go get your pads,
Yeah.
and we're going to have a kickboxing match and find out who the real martial artist is. I'm like, dude, I've been doing martial arts like a lot of my life. I could not give a shit about this match. Who
No,
could
come on now.
possibly...
Jerry Flynn versus the Cat.
My
doesn't
point
have
is,
your
like,
nipples on it. Come
Bischoff
on.
is a karate guy or whatever,
Yeah.
and so like he's all excited about, like, nobody
Yeah.
fucking cares about it except Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
A fucking kickboxing match between Flynn and Shat next week? Who fucking cares? Why are we watching this?
Don't know. They replayed the whole opening bit with the Jordan statue. Gotta fill 3 hours. Buff Bagwell and Dean Malenko versus DDP and Canyon. I was like, I'm over Buff and Dean. It's a weird team on
Dude.
paper that is even weirder in real life.
It's Dean.
Well,
Like, this is so exposed, this guy.
They're like yin and yang of each other.
Dean is
I
like,
mean, they fit together well.
there are
They're
things
two
that
yings.
there are things that Dean did very well.
Never mind.
If he had a mid-card technical wrestling match with another great technical wrestler,
Or
it's all
cruiserweight.
good,
Yeah.
okay? But, like, his gimmick is he has no face.
Yes.
So you're putting him in there as a babyface in peril? It's impossible to get into him as a
Or
babyface.
a guy in the apron waiting for a hot tag.
Yeah.
Either way.
It was just like, and he's, he wants to be a main eventer in storyline, but here he is in, I mean, this is a pretty high level.
It's a world tag
deal.
team title match he's in.
And he's just out there just going through the moves. I mean, I don't know.
He's a robot.
He's not a main eventer, I can tell you that much.
I like, by the way, that Buff's big wacky top hat, if you look close, it still has the NWO logo on it. He just painted it over.
It's like redoing a tattoo.
Sure.
It's only like the company's only owned by a billionaire. They couldn't get him a new hat. So, that said, this match went way too long. 15 minutes or so. It did not need to go that long, but they did not lose the crowd over these 15 minutes. The crowd was into the finish. And, of course, the Jersey Triad did the gimmick where they were just switching places in the apron, so it was really a 3-on-2 match. And eventually they hit a combo diamond cutter on Dean for the win. But you know what? I'm going to chalk this up as a thumbs up.
It's funny, too, because Bobby and Tony were arguing about how you can't have 3 men in a match. This has never been done before. The Freebirds? Except the Freebirds had 2 guys in the ring.
Yes.
These 3 of them tag back out. It's ridiculous.
That's why I said they'd never done this before.
They said they've never had a 3-man tag team.
Is this really worth arguing?
No, it really isn't.
But my point is, like, the Freebirds, it wasn't a tag match, but they could all 3 tag in. They would just choose 2 guys for the tag match.
Exactly.
Yeah, so these guys, like, they could all tag in, right?
Apparently.
Yeah.
Because they're buddies with Flair.
So they're all handicap tag matches.
yes.
Yes.
In
So it is
storyline,
different.
because they did Flair a favor and continue to do Flair favors.
Nope, not one hand was raised in the meeting when this was.
None of the other teams protest.
Well, maybe
guess
they
not.
did, but Flair was like, too bad.
Yeah.
I'm in charge.
Listen.
My kid's getting the belt.
Craig, on this particular program, there are bigger fish to fry. For example,
That's fair.
I hate rap.
oh, I'm sorry, I was going to the next match. The I Hate Rap music video debuted. We already talked about it, so I just scrolled right through.
Just Google it on YouTube, everybody. It's so amazing.
Bobby Duncombe could not even lip sync.
No, that's why it was so great.
So then, speaking of horrible things, Scott Putski versus Sid Vicious.
If you say one negative thing about this match, I'm coming over that table. Dude, Sid is so amazing. He comes down the aisle, rambling incoherently. He lumbers down. He's the most awesome subhuman. There's nobody like him. And then he looks into the camera and he goes, this is off camera, so there's no mic. He just goes, bad night for Mr. Putski. I wouldn't want to be him. Sure shit right. Gets in the ring, and they just have the shittiest fucking match. It's so fucking terrible.
Listen.
But it's awesomely terrible.
Putski comes out, and then Sid comes out, and for some reason, Sid has no music. Even they couldn't just play Savage's song or whatever.
Yeah.
So Sid comes out with his whole crew, but with no music. 2 minutes go by.
Yeah.
I actually to walk down the aisle. Nothing happens for 2 minutes. The bell rings. 2 more minutes go by. There's no contact. No one touched anybody for 4 minutes here of TV time. So I'm screaming at this. It's TV death.
Oh, come on.
The crowd is chanting for Goldberg loudly.
I loved Sid so much on the show, I considered nominating him for the Hall of Awesome.
We would have had our first actual debate.
He's fucking great. You know what he is? He comes off as a crazy, dangerous, scary guy.
You're not wrong about any of that.
And I mean, how many guys nowadays, if you watch, I won't say like worldwide because there's plenty of them, but like in WWE, who comes across as a legit, crazy, scary guy?
Brock
Tommaso
Lesnar.
Ciampa.
Lesnar?
Yeah.
Maybe Ciampa, yeah. But like Lesnar, I'm on the main roster. You got Lesnar, Joe.
Okay.
Maybe Lashley if they had him be the guy he was in TNA killing guys. But like Braun Strowman's a giant cartoon character.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just some weird guy playing a role. Sid, he had the look. I mean, he fucking sucked in the ring. But his promos are just hilarious. He comes across as a crazy guy with his promos. He looks like a crazy guy. He looks like a mutant of some sort. Like, when they're building up him and Nash, I'm actually interested. Why? I have no fucking idea. But you look at the guy, and it's like, oh man, him and Nash, that's money.
Hey, one of the most important things about being a pro wrestler is how you look.
Yeah.
And Sid's look is a 10 out of 10.
It is a 11.
Yeah.
Maybe a 12 on the granny scale.
Now, everything else is a 0 or a 1.
He's terrible in the ring.
His promo,
Hideous.
His promos, they have a charm. Maybe they're a 3 or a 4, I guess.
Yes.
But
I would go as far as say a 6 on the promos.
regardless.
I laugh every time.
So Sid wins with a fucking horrible match with a chokeslam and a powerbomb, and then they drop the big elbow on Putski, and that's that. We had an entire segment. They go to commercial. They come back. The Nitro girls are bebopping around. Nash is walking around. David Flair's warming up. They go to commercial again. 3 hours.
You know what made me the most angry about this main event?
That's yes, because there's a strong list of contenders.
No Michael Buffer.
That's actually true.
God damn it. I was dying to hear him introduce David Flair.
This man has no credentials, no talent,
No charisma.
Jinx. So we got David Flair versus Kevin Nash.
Jinx.
He did. You owe me a Coke.
Everyone's disgusted, Vinny, but go ahead.
What else is new? David Flair versus Kevin Nash with Arn Anderson as ref and the Jersey Triad and Team Madness and Roddy Piper and Ric Flair as lumberjacks for the World Heavyweight title.
Now, I don't want to get into like continuity, but did Ric Flair not do an interview twice on this show where he said that Little Nate was going to be the referee?
He did.
There was a point, I forget which match it was, but Arn was doing commentary, and Flair explained Charles Robinson is nervous. Arn Anderson is going to be reffing instead.
I see.
It's probably because he couldn't actually ref.
That was the Bagwell-Malenko match.
Yeah. And Arn actually did a little promo about the parody, the NWO parody, or the Four Horsemen parody the NWO had done, and tonight would be his revenge. So, everyone swarms Nash. Savage even hits him with a chain. David puts him in the figure 4. Arn counts 1. Arn counts 2. Nash gets his shoulder up, and Arn stops counting.
I'll bet you can imagine how sickened I was at this moment.
The most evil man, the most evil group, all the ways they're cheating in this match. A dozen guys with a chain were just beating up Nash in the corner. But when he gets his shoulder up, you can't count that 3.
That's not even the only thing, Vinny.
No, this is where he got stupid.
When this match started, all the lumberjacks attack Kevin Nash, and Tony admits it was all a gigantic setup. All these fucking idiots have to do is pound on him until David can get the pin and the title. Am I wrong?
You're right.
So they pound on him. David puts him in the figure 4, and everybody leaves the ring.
Yeah.
Arn counts it 2. The guy gets his fucking shoulder up. Arn the worst fucking heel referee ever, just stops counting. And then Nash just starts beating the shit out of the guy. And all those fucking lumberjacks just stand outside and they watch it.
Now it's a one-on-one match.
Fuck you. The only redeeming thing about this match, which I still laugh thinking about it. So, finally, Arn attacks Kevin Nash, and all the geeks hit the ring again. It's going to be another gang beating. So in the middle of this, David Flair grabs the taser. He's got the taser in his hand. He's going to go and he's going to tase Kevin Nash right in the balls or whatever. And literally, he walks across the ring with the taser. And Kevin Nash walks up to him and he takes the taser and he stabs David. I fucking died.
That's exactly
It
what
wasn't
happened.
like he went for it and Nash moved and grabbed it.
No.
It's not like he swung it for some reason and Nash blocked it.
No.
He walks at Nash and Nash just goes bloop and grabs the fucking taser and stabs the guy.
It looked like one runner passing the baton to another in a relay race.
Dude! Can David do anything?
No. So Nash starts teasing dudes left and right. And then he decides,
I'm out of here.
my work here is done.
Done.
He
Give me the women.
He grabs his belt, and then he decides, you know what would be fun? Kidnapping.
Sure.
I shall kidnap someone.
Yeah, this gorgeous George is
He
hot.
grabs gorgeous George, throws her over his shoulder, gets a great big handful of ass. Tori Wilson, apparently honoring the stips,
Sure.
agreed to.
He lost.
Did he?
It would be a count out. How would he have won?
Flair was out. I don't know.
There was no finish.
There was no finish.
point-
Regardless, Tori, in that case, Tori just dumped David.
Well,
And-
you know, watching
looked
this
like it.
goddamn match right here, I mean, what do you expect her to do?
So Nash has George over his shoulder. She is screaming for help. Tori is with him. She's skipping and smiling, having the time of her life.
I mean, this is lewd, but like, one guy grabbed the rod, and the other guy had no idea what to do with it.
That's
So, I
fair.
mean, like,
You know, you make a point. You make
that's all I can come up with.
Yeah. So now we're backstage. Nash is still carrying George, and he goes to throw into a limo, and then he looks yonder, and there's a black Hummer.
Black, you say.
A black Hummer. Black this week. And then suddenly, I guess, we get Nash-O-Vision as we are looking through his eyes, and he sees 50, 60 yards down the way, Sting's face is reflecting in the driver's side mirror.
That's right.
And Nash's response is to jump in the limo and drive away as Savage zooms in, trying to rescue his damsel in distress, who was kidnapped and abducted against her will. And that's the end of the show.
God, watching Savage try to run, watching Nash. Nash has got, she's maybe 110 pounds. Probably less than that. Struggling to carry her through this building on his bad knees. Getting this damn limo or whatever. This was fucking terrible. This main event was a disaster.
The only thing I can say is that this was all, this did cross the line of being so bad I could laugh at it.
Oh, I laughed.
So,
There was so much hilarity in that main event. David putting him in the figure four, Nash just stands up. Didn't
what
sell
happens.
it at all.
no, Nash shrugged off the beatings of a dozen men.
Yeah.
He started beating up David. Yeah, everything about this was terrible.
And it was better than Raw, I thought.
It blew Raw out of the water. We'll get to Raw, well, very soon. But first, Brian, do you have my music ready?
Oh, your music. Don't mind if I do. We'll see. Yeah, let's hope.
That's if it works.
Fingers crossed.
Let's hope everything's working here. All right, here we go.
We have Tony doing live guitar this time. The finishes on this show were clean pin in a tag match, more or less clean pin in what may as well have been a handicap match, pin after weapons and interference, possible DQ in a dance contest, I'm really not sure, DQ due to outside interference, pin after assorted shenanigans in a 3-on-2 tag match, clean pin, and then no finish in the main event.
So let me get this straight. You wrote down the main event finish, but then when we were talking about it, you didn't know what the finish was.
I had forgotten what I'd written down.
Okay, just checking.
That's what happened.
Let's talk about this Raw
Do you
show.
have any other questions before we move on?
No, I think that about covers it.